is crazy. I guess that means there we are. Now I can spread this link to the world. But my feelings, yeah. Now I've been gone for so long, my innocence is long gone. There we go. That's the one. I'm gonna delete that previous video because it's kind of shit. Delete. Yes, delete. Put that in. I want that in private, actually. For now, until I can edit all the good stuff. Okay. Who wants in? I want you to send me a message on Twitter or something. I need to invite some people in here so I can have something to chat against, because if I just chat into a void, I go crazy. No, thank you for leaving. Kotaku in action, I guess. Wait, I'm already there, ain't I? Damn it. David Drain, Ed Twitlonger. Yeah. And now I've been gone for so long. Oh. My lord. My lordy lord. Okay, we might finally be getting some people. I am streaming right now. I know that. I knows, Shellart. I'm new at this hangout thing, okay? I haven't actually started one myself. I've been involved in lots of them. I just haven't started one myself. It's kind of funny, actually. Want in. Okay, I'm gonna try and invite people in chat, screen share, showcase, Q&A. Okay, I need the invite. How do I invite? Oh, there we go. Add names, circles, or email addresses. I have no clue. This should be fun. All right. Yeah, I know. I may say some crazy stuff, but this is just me chatting into a void right now. If you want, I guess I should, because I am watching Twitter right now at this moment too. Post them and I'll try to answer. There we go. There we go. My God. Check the message box. There we go. Wait, what? I never watched all the way through the video, but that was the final point they made? Because it was written by a straight white man, this list will be taken more seriously? Oh my fucking God. Oh my God, no. When this video came up, I just assumed it was written by Anita. Oh, never mind. That is just stupid. Oh my God. I'm not revealing my line of inquiry until I get at least 3 people in here with me, or else I'm gonna go insane, and no one wants that. No one wants that at all, my friend. Oh my God. Okay, so there's this new post that came up on Kotaku in Action about a 60-year-old professor. One second. Okay, never mind. It wasn't the professor actually responding to that, but still, it's kind of funny. Some of the points in that 25, what was it? 25 invisible benefits of gaming while male. I don't know what to say about that video. It's just utterly stupid. It may have some valid points buried somewhere in all the ideological bullshit, but my God. I mean, I've seen some of these points that these people are saying, but at the same time, if you make a video like this, you're assuming that you speak for 100% of the female population. It's just retarded. I gotta say that. Like, I know, don't use the R word because that's like ableist or something, but my God, that is unbelievably stupid. If you want to join in, DM me on Twitter if you're following me, or I guess I should check the comments on the YouTube video so I can, because I'll delete the comments very, very quickly. Oh, come on, YouTube. I'm not revealing it. Hopefully the audio quality will improve because I'm, ugh. Okay. I'm waiting patiently. All right, so let's just talk about some fun things while we're waiting for people to join, or let me just talk about fun things. Lumino City. It's a new game that just got released. I'm still trying to get. How did I get involved? Okay, that's a question that was being asked. Okay, so no, Google Hangouts, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Okay, how did I get involved in this whole thing? Okay, so I remember seeing the Hoobaloo about the Zoe post way back in August 30th, or 29th actually, I should say. And I was wondering what it was. It was like I didn't really care much about it. Zoe Quinn had actually been in, she had actually popped up on my like news radar earlier than that, because there was this escapist story where she claimed she was being harassed for making a Depression Quest game. And I don't doubt that she got some very, very bad messages before that, but I knew who she was. And I was actually at PAX Prime, and I went to the panel Game Loading Rise of the Indies, and I met her. She seemed like a cool person. Okay, I shall invite this person, Ace. Anyways, she seemed like a nice person, and I think she was trying to keep in tune with what was going on. Generally, of the Gamergate thing, because she was obviously one of the major figures of the early little bit. So I'm inviting a person. All right, but during PAX Prime, I guess I should have seen some signs of something weird going on, because she actually ducked out of the panel. I want to talk to her after the panel because I was kind of like, at this point, very sympathetic to her position, because I was buying into the general line of thinking that she was being dogpiled on and harassed and stuff. I did buy into that stuff at that time. And I don't doubt that she's gotten nasty stuff sent to her. I honestly do not doubt that. But the warning sign was she disappeared entirely after the panel. I didn't even see her disappear. Like, that's how quick she disappeared. But as I was leaving PAX Prime and getting right to the train station that would take me out of town, I actually met her and Alex Lifshitz on the corner right next to the train station. And I talked to her. I didn't know who Alex was at the time. I would only recognize him after the fact, but they were there together. But she seemed like a nice person. I gave her my card and said, let's talk about your game, because I liked Depression Quest. I know a lot of people don't like that line of thought, but I like it. Simply because I was in a spell of major depression at that time. And I sympathize with the game. It may not be a great game, but it's one of the few games that I've experienced, at the very least, that have honestly tackled depression in a way that doesn't feel insulting. Or, yeah, I won't get into my history of depression because, quite frankly, no one wants to hear someone's sob story. But, anyways, from that weekend on, I kept an eye on the news. But then the Gamers Are Dead articles hit. Like, they just hit out of nowhere. And I was reading some of them, and Leigh Alexander's article was particularly grievous. It was just stupid. But I wanted to stay out of this whole thing. Like, I really genuinely did, because I was like, okay, these people are fighting against industry ethics and stuff when this, because that line of inquiry started a lot after the Gamers Are Dead articles. From what I saw, it's like it wasn't that before that, and before Adam Baldwin tweeted Gamergate stuff. But it's just weird. I wanted to stay out of it, but every once in a while I would get the Brianna Wu incident, the Anita Sarkeesian death threat. Those weren't specifically linked to Gamergate. The threats weren't linked to Gamergate at all, and they were used to accuse innocent people of horrible, horrible, horrible things. It was absolutely one of the worst shit shows I've ever seen in my life. It was a witch hunt against Gamergate supporters, and to be honest, I don't like the fact that a lot of us are super snarky as well towards the other side. I don't like the fact that, yes, there has been some bad, rude tweets sent to a lot of these people. And yes, gaming really doesn't matter in the big picture of life. But at the same time, these people are accusing people of horrific stuff. I mean, me joining this, I probably shot half my career opportunities in the industry. It's just, I'm almost regretting this, but I wanted to help out people who were being unfairly accused of heinous stuff. And I did the research. I browsed. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of links bookmarked. I have hundreds of videos, images, tweets, documents just bookmarked. They're in a folder. I did the research. A lot of other people didn't. They think that skimming Kotaku in action for 1 or 2 pages and seeing an SJW post means that we're misogynists, that we're horrible people, that we're racists. And I'm a feminist, and that offends me greatly. I'm speaking into a void that is the internet, and I just gotta say that. These people, they don't know the damage they're doing. They don't know the good people they're lumping in with trolls and they're calling terrorists. I've seen good people in this movement. I've seen great things come from it. I've seen people come together in a community that I've never been able to experience before in my life. Does that make me biased towards Gamergate? Maybe. Who knows? And for those who just sent me a tweet, I invited you. You got to check your Gmails. Anyways, that's how I got involved. Over the past 6 months, I've been suffering from a bout of depression. It's been dropping my productivity down to subterranean levels. I mean, a lot of it is on me, but I've been battling some pretty bad medical issues for the past 6 months, and at least this has been going on for years. But I do as much good work as I can. I try to speak to gamers and start discussions, and but Gamergate it's a community now. Like in a year, who knows what Gamergate will be, but as of now, it's a community of like-minded people who just want to celebrate gaming and not be told that they're monsters for doing so. It's tragic that things have come to this level. It's tragic that the discourse between sides has gotten so toxic that there will be no reconciliation. That's how I got involved. Of course, actually, I should relay a tiny story. I wanted to stay neutral as much as recently as 3 weeks ago, like totally neutral. I mean, I had pro leanings, obviously, and I had told that to people, but I wanted to stay out of it to analyze it from a historical perspective almost, because being a historian, a history buff, I should say, I'm not a historian at all, but I'm a history buff. Um, Gamergate is hitting some chords, like in terms of a cultural war. Let's not forget that. But I wanted to stay neutral. Then my boss, Chris Jensen, decided to declare for Gamergate one night, and I looked on that, and I was like, "Oh my, that is, yeah." I had to join. I was professionally connected to him, so at that point, I had pro leanings, and I decided to just join in. And he asked me to write that article, opening the gates of Gamergate, and I did. I put the best case of what I stand for out there, and I stand by that article. Of course, I wrote another article pertaining to Gamergate, the stupid David S. Gallant, who tried to withhold Steam keys from paying customers and then saying, "Oh, but it's okay because you're all monsters." So I sent invites. I don't know why people aren't joining. I sent an invite. 1 second. Check it, check it, check it, check it. Ba chicka wow wow. Bom ba bom. So I guess I'll have to copy that. Ah, no, 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 no. I don't want to copy blank space. Command C. Don't you love stuff like that? Mac shortcuts. They're amazing. There, I sent another invite. Okay, so the line of inquiry I've been pursuing is I've been throwing this idea out there for the longest time. I can't believe, well, people just are focused on other things, I understand, but I've been trying to look into the numbers of females enrolling in game design programs. And I just got off a chat with a director of admissions at a school. I sent another invite, Real Jack Boss. Try again. I'll invite you one more time. Do, 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 do. There we go. But I've been trying to look into that, and I just got off a meeting with a general director of admissions for a game design program. I won't tell anyone where, because he asked to be this person asked to be confidential. So I won't tell anyone what school or what. I just won't say. I'll protect my source. But what I got out of that conversation was interesting, to say the least. Very, very interesting. And if I get another person or something in here, let's see. Maybe I'll see if Oliver Campbell is interested or something. I has a stream. Yeah, I know there's no chat. I just I'm trying to enable it, but I don't know how Google Hangout works per se. It's kind of weird. Okay, Q&A. This feature is disabled. I don't know why. Chat. Group chat. I'm trying to figure out how to enable comments, but no. If anyone knows how this works, just leave a comment in the video or send me a thing on Twitter, because I have no clue. I am Google Hangouts illiterate. I am possibly quite dumb. But anyways, sorry. Where did I leave that? I shall refresh. Okay. I'll share the link to this thing that I'm doing. Tweet. There, everyone. It's on Twitter, the link. Hopefully that means people can join this thing. I'm going to go on Kotaku in action right now and see if... Come on, chat window. Well, at least I know how logic works. Oh, here's a person.
There you go, bud.
There we go. I have no clue how Google Hangouts works at all.
Oh, you're fine, bud. Like, it's absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm. So if we could get...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, if we could get one, that'd be good.
Yeah, if we could get one more person or something on, because I feel like I need another person to bounce off of, because...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this line of inquiry that I'm starting to pursue, and I know I promised on Kotaku in Action that I would write a thing analyzing bad game reviews. That's still being worked on, obviously. I'm gathering some more evidence before I jump in.
Mm-hmm.
But this line of inquiry, I think people would be very interested in pursuing it, if you know what I mean.
I know. And yeah, I'm not just here to bounce ideas. I'm here to, push a little bit too. One thing that I'm kind of getting worried about, and it's exponentially getting worse, is that a lot of streams have now become echo chambers of the same information, the same knowledge being pushed out. The whole indie game scene being debunked, and all the money changing hands, going into extreme detail and extreme links, and it's great that you're pursuing an avenue.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not necessarily the best thing when we need to garner more attention in the mainstream. And as awful as that sounds, it's like, okay, well, we've seen what happens when we go in the media in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they have an agenda, and they're going to push theirs, because to them, they're just publicity, stunt artists. That's all they are. And then you have the agenda pushers who are underlying there. So we need to get more mainstream attention that's positive. And to me, it's getting a collective idea of, what's something that we could push as easy as the hashtag out there that would be something that is a very simple, very gathered, statement that would, say something more than we're just against corruption in gaming journalism. Okay? That's fine.
Yeah.
But I hate the fact that in some aspect Gamergate has become reactionary in terms of, okay, something happened in Australia, we garner attention from that, then we react to that, rather than being proactive and saying, well, you see that in Australia, this is what's happening next, and then basically pursuing a line of command of saying, this is what we're fighting against, and reflecting on other things like the IGF and what's happening in Australia isn't bad, but we need to be more proactive.
Yeah, I understand totally. I mean, I see a lot of evidence thrown around. I don't see too many more inquiries into general corruption in gaming press. I don't see people pressing the issue. Like, they press against stuff that's already happened. We need to find out, because we saw with the interview with Christian Allen at Niche Gamer, there is more stuff that we could be uncovering, but we either are not focusing on that, or we're just blind to it. I don't know. We definitely need to pursue that line of inquiry further. My line of inquiry, the thing that I'm going to reveal here, pertains more to the feminist side of Gamergate, so to speak. But definitely we should be looking more at these angles of corruption and ethical breaches and stuff. I totally agree. But yeah, it's an echo chamber.
Yeah, it's become in essence an echo chamber, and that's fine. I mean, us, to an extent doing that to reiterate to those who are still misinformed or not informed enough on certain instances is fine, absolutely. And actually having a pep talk every once in a while is fine. I mean, the holidays is a very difficult time to give your time, to give effort, to give energy to something that in some ways seems stagnant in some areas, and in others it seems like it's being really explosive and things are changing radically. One thing I do want to reiterate, though, is something that we should really, really be pushing is the able gamers issue. A very good charitable fund on its own, within a vacuum, is a very good effort and good, thing to pursue. But now it's become politicized, and the reason I say that is I did a little digging, and my friend actually helped me with some research on able gamers, and they came out and made a statement saying that because you can jump in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, that it restricts the immersion level of handicapped gamers. And as ludicrous as that statement is, we have to understand that if we're going to donate to a fund, it needs to be someone who legitimately attempts to be neutral in all, forums possible.
And like I said, this has been a theme running for the past decade at least. A lot of charities don't do actual charity too, so we definitely need to not donate to charities that don't do what they're saying, obviously. So we just need to be careful of that as well at the same time. But obviously we need neutral people to donate to as well, or else if we just donate to the same people over and over just because they agree with us, what does that prove?
Exactly, and I think that's another underlying issue that people don't understand. Well, we've given all this money to certain avenues. Well, yeah, we have, and that's great. Fine Young Capitalist obviously agrees with a lot of the ideas and core arguments of Gamergate, and then there's another charitable organization I think we gave to that also agrees with Gamergate in another facet. So it becomes an issue of, are we only going to support those that support us? Or are we going to further our reach and further our goals to something a lot higher than it's already set in? That's the big issue that I'm keep running into, and I think that we need to really channel, okay, all this money that was going to go from, as funny as it is to say, that porn thing that lady is doing into another avenue and putting all those efforts into another area, because it doesn't need to go away at the same time as we need to pick some other place for it to go to, and that careful selection needs to be made from this leaderless movement. I mean, that's the problem too, is that I asked today, just out of curiosity, okay, can someone tell me in a simple statement what Gamergate's about? Well, I got several links, several URLs to very in-depth, very expansive definitions of what's going on and expansive understandings and da-da-da-da-da. And from someone, if I was outside looking in, that would seem overwhelming. It would seem too convoluted for me to even get my foot in the door. So that's something I want Gamergate to really focus on, is how do we help people get their foot in the door if they are interested, and if they're not interested, prove to them why they should be, because it is an issue. You're right. At a core argument, it's people who don't care how it's done; they only care who it's done to.
I don't blame them though. At the same time, because some of the things that have been said against Gamergate, they're free to focus on who they want, and unfortunately, some of those things that these people say against Gamergate, they really sting. Like I've been personally had to sit back from my computer and go, whoa, did people just say that? And I honestly understand why people would want to focus in on those people who say stuff like that. But emotions are a funny thing. They could distract you from the real issue at hand. This is why I wanted to stay out of Gamergate from the beginning until a couple weeks ago. It's because I wanted to analyze it from a historical perspective without emotions, because emotions color a lot of things. But this is why historians prefer to analyze events without first-hand accounts, because they like to see what happened, not what people thought should have happened at the time.
Right, and I think that's something that I'm kind of getting into, is that I want to be involved. I want to be directly involved, but at the same time, I don't want to have to kind of make a forceful argument become, someone who seems to be pushing just their face. And I think that's something that a lot of people are coming disenfranchised with. And I'll go ahead and call them out. King of Pole and a lot of other people have become disenfranchised with them, because it seems like rather than, Gamergate and the core issue being the issue, it becomes more of a matter of, oh, I said this, oh, I verified this, oh, I did this, I. Instead of realizing there's a group of people who probably knew it before you did. And they probably made statements. They just didn't have as large of an audience to properly push that idea out there. And then it becomes an issue of all this e-drama and all that. And it's kind of simmering down, which is good, because the infighting got bad for a moment, because there is a large political spectrum. And I think that's something that a lot of people.
Whoops, sorry, Circle C. I didn't mean to I just meant to eject your old copy. You can join right back in, of course. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. That's kind of funny. I saw that happen and I was wondering what was going on. But I think that's something that has become a huge issue that needs to be addressed too. Just because you disagree with someone, you get to tell them to shut up. I mean, everyone has a right to say something, even if they are an SJW and they come at you, they have a right to say what they're saying. Now, you have full right to block them and ignore them. I mean, it comes down to that. So
the problem is, and Gamergate has become tied to larger issues. It's bigger than Gamergate now. Like, to deny that is to simply just ignore facts on the ground. But what Gamergate has become tied into is a lot of, the Rolling Stone VA report.
Yes.
The one that just got discredited. What we're seeing in there is a lot of the same, and this was pointed out to me. The listen and believe of the other side has just found its first obstacle. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's when facts come into listen and believe just falls apart at the first hurdle. If they don't corroborate their facts, they just look like idiots, and that's what Gamergate essentially has been fighting against a lot of. But we should be focusing on corruption. I would love us to, but I can't ignore that a lot of the movement feels like this is a real fight against some of the most condescending, self-righteous people I've ever seen in my life. So.
No, you're absolutely right. And here's where the issue starts. That PR-wise, someone who kind of does some marketing on my own, it's always bad to come outright in the initial parts of the movement. Now, in internet terms, the Gamergate is quite old. It's been going on for a very, very long time. But in terms of the real world, it's just fresh. And when a movement just starts out and is gathering momentum as it is, you don't want to really come out and say, well, essentially we are fighting, against this ideology of, arrogant smugness that, they can never be corrupt, they can never be, condescending because they are righteous. And it does. It seems like it's a religious zealotry from the other side. So to me, it's brick by brick. It's building this coliseum that is Gamergate, that is the mentality that all we want to do is enjoy a hobby that has become paramount to probably the most active form of art in the mainstream, and that we just want to be left alone and have our art published regardless of what the content is, because if it's a statement that you want to make your own game, provide your own forum to do so. And that's where the Australian thing comes in. And then bringing up the Rolling Stones article, that's the condescending attitude that Gamergate can definitely reflect on and say, see, this is something that's reaching outside of us. Now, that's the only caution I'll bring to it, but I completely agree with your point. At core argument versus core argument, Gamergate is going to eventually outreach games. It's going to go into that next form of saying, Gamergate started this. It's the spark that lit the fire against everyone saying, well, why do these people think they can act this way?
Obviously, we have feminists on our side, like Christina Hoff Sommers, and they're getting brutalized. Like, they're getting attacked on all sides by these feminists who think that if you don't toe the party line, well, you're a monster. You're not obviously a feminist. But then Christina Hoff Sommers sent this tweet saying, I've always thought that liberals would eventually call out these rad femmes. Instead, it's the gamers who are doing it. And you know what? Maybe that's a good thing.
Absolutely, and I think it just goes to showcase, and the thing that really is sad is you have to ask people to endure. You have to ask them to keep their stamina up, to keep the good fight going, to be in for the long haul, because through all that battery and through all that abuse, wherever they get it, it's going to just show what the other side is really about. And
I think I may have accidentally blocked Circle C. Wow, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Let's see. But that's the biggest issue that I have is Christina Hoff Sommers has literally come out at the gate, and she's always been, advocating against nonsensical feminists and the whole, really radicalized version of feminism that it is today. But now that she's really stepped into a live issue that is very, very active, it's become worse for her. I know it has to have. So if anyone, everyone listening and everyone watching, if you could, show your support to her whenever you get the chance. Whenever you see a video that she has, go ahead and view it. Go ahead and like it. Go ahead and retweet it and everything. And this is shilling for her, but she has really been a legitimate foothold outside of Gamergate because she was an outsider looking in, and she has realized that fundamental principle that Gamergate's core argument is very much against this new zealot ideology of everything that's not us needs to burn.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate because there was one person I used to respect for his opinions, Movie Bob, and he is just, wow, what Jim Sterling as well. I mean, you see this stupid ideology just infect some of these people. It's like it's impervious to facts. It's like what did the newsroom call Republicans or the Tea Party, the American Taliban? Well, this is like the feminist Taliban or something. You should see that clip too of him calling them that. It is quite funny.
No, I've seen it, and the thing that gets me is I actually got started in game journalism through Jim Sterling, and I realized a subtle change that had happened. That he was talking about how women protagonists aren't the end of gaming as we know it, that they don't want to take away their video games, so on and so forth, and it got me questioning what he was talking about. Like, what issue is he trying to bring up here? So I looked into it and I started realizing, I was like, wow, Jim Sterling really kind of has an underlying agenda here. He's trying to say that they're not trying to take away our games. Well, I thought that was a ludicrous argument too. And for a majority of this, I thought that was a very ludicrous argument. And then Australia happened. And now I'm left questioning, if they're not here to take away our video games and radically change the industry, then what's Australia about? What's Gawker Media doing?
Yeah, one person actually brought up a good point. It was an Australian gamer. I saw this comment on Kotaku in action, but he basically said, all you guys who are commenting on how it's okay for the distributor to suddenly just take away Grand Theft Auto 5, you're not Australian. You're commenting from a very, very privileged position because we fought for the right just to have this game. We fought for R18 rating. We didn't have that before. We couldn't have video games that weren't made for adults, basically. And I noticed that is very true. Australia is a very different set of context from America. And unfortunately, these people are not asking themselves, why am I supporting this? Why am I supporting the taking down of a game from game shelves? It's funny, too, because it's censorship when it happens to them, but it's not censorship when it happens to gamers. You know what?
Absolutely. And that's the double standard that a lot of people, it's just so obvious to some. And I think it has to, at this point, be obvious to others. And I think they realize that their ideology isn't sustainable outside itself. Now, what I mean by that is there always has to be an oppressor, i.e. Gamergate. There always has to be the oppressed. Major faces like that are Brianna Wu, Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, that have suffered some harassment on some level. And I think Gamergate does not need to be ignorant to that fact, to turn around and say, oh, they have never been harassed. Well, they have, but they propagated it. They wanted it. They wanted harassment on some level so they could continue pursuing avenues without really any recourse, that they didn't have to justify their ends or their means because, oh, I was harassed. I mean, who's going to come up to someone who's just been harassed and say, oh, well, here's some critical things I have against your ideas? Well, no, it's human nature to soften the blow. Someone who's been harassed, we're going to be nicer to than someone who hasn't. Like, I'm just Joe Schmo off the street. If I said something radical, you're going to criticize me, fact check it, and come after me with all your guns blazing. But if I was some rape victim, or I had been brutally harassed and, you know, I'd been garnering attention because of it, you're going to come in easier. You're not going to come in at me, you know, all guns blazing at me. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I mean, like, we saw what happened. I was relating this before you joined, why I joined Gamergate, but we saw what happened with the Brianna Wu threats. We saw what happened with the Anita Sarkeesian threats. They just found a convenient scapegoat, and unfortunately, they threw a lot of good people under the bus. And I feel like half of the anti-Gamergate side, like a lot of them, genuinely believe in this, that we're terrorists, that we're misogynist scumbags, that we're monsters. But I saw this interesting video by Movie Bob. He says, it's not really censorship if the mainstream media is ganging up on you, because that's the way they've always been, and they're on our side. So ha ha ha, screw you, Gamergate. I just wanted to punch Movie Bob in the face after that.
I can't blame you. I mean, it's the only word I can describe for these people at this point is disgusting, because there's no humanity in it anymore. It's a machine that's kind of started up on its own, and it's now in a tumble. And what's really sad is that they think that no matter what happens, they're untouchable. And one thing I want to just kind of echo out in there is they're not. Gamergate's penetrating all those defenses and coming at them with everything it has. It's coming at them with an immense amount of information. But the only caution I'll throw out there is do not muddy water the information. Try to make it as clear and as concise as you can be, because those outside looking in, we garner attention through them, we win this thing wholesale. Because right now, we're climbing the mountain, and we're doing extremely well at that, but it's a little slower than we all would like it to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that we have another person here, I guess I could start saying what my line of inquiry is.
I was borrowing it. I need it for work.
1 second. All right. So, Linus. There we go. Just turn the video off. There we go. All right. So, my line of inquiry through this whole thing. I remember I've been openly saying this, but I'm empathetic to the intentions of certain characters of the other side, like Brianna Wu and Anita Sarkeesian. I'm empathetic to the intentions. Their execution is horrible, but they have good intentions behind those. So what I wanted to do, and I've been tweeting to Space Cat Gal about this, was, isn't the fact that there aren't as many female game developers, or isn't as much female representation in video games, sort of a symptom of the fact that there isn't a huge amount of female gamers in there?
Well, the big issue is, because you said you do empathize with the other side, and this is the only point I'd like to address to the gentleman who came in.
Yeah.
I empathize with the core idea that certain tropes are tired in video games. That they've been done so often and so much that it becomes boring. And for the sake of artwork, you want to innovate. You want to be different. But innovation for innovation's sake is bad. At the same time, if it's tradition, it doesn't need to be changed, because that's the reason people are buying that particular brand. Mario, for instance, is a traditional game, and Metroid is a traditional game. Though it falls into some of our tropes, it is a very traditional-based game. The people who buy it want to continue buying it for the sole fact it will play like the previous games. On the other hand, where I don't empathize is even outside of execution. They use these tropes as part of...
Oh, I guess he left. Sorry. Never mind. I'll bounce off you.
It's fine. They use these tropes as forums to push their agenda. So it's not just, oh, these tropes are tired. Cut, end of argument, period. It's, these tropes are tired because of misogyny, because of this, because of that, because of that.
Yeah, yeah, but so I decided to take this line of inquiry further in terms of the numbers of females in the industry. So I just had a very interesting chat with a director of admissions at a game design program. So I managed to get in with him and I asked him this very simple question. I didn't ask him to give specifics. I gave it to him. I asked him, and I gave him the notice of confidentiality just so he wouldn't be afraid of any backlash or anything. But what he said, and this is very interesting, the number of female applicants and the number of people who graduate from the program are at 15%.
Mm-hmm.
At most 20%. So what we're seeing is these anti-Gamergate people want 50-50 representation or something close to it, but the numbers just aren't there.
Yeah, and I think that's something to talk about too, is, population size versus, how many people are actually applying, how many people are being retained, so on and so forth. And I think that's a big issue, is that at what point does the majority appease the minority so much that the minority controls the majority? I mean, it's always that same old problem.
Yeah, obviously democracy was built off of protecting against the tyranny of the majority to let minority interests have a say. But at the same time, you don't want the reverse to happen, the tyranny of the minority.
Exactly.
A lot of people get very, very angry. One can only look at, there's real-world political example, Iraq. What was it? I think it was either the Sunnis or the Shias who were minorities, and they had the positions of power, and they used that very, very badly, I should say. And as a result, they got the majority to absolutely hate the other side's guts, and they didn't want to talk with them very much after the Iraq War and during it. And it's led to where we are at with ISIS and stuff. But that was just as an example. I didn't want to compare it to Gamergate seriously, but that's just an example of what happens when the concerns of the minority take overdue kinds of precedence. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they don't have the right to have certain expectations or anything, but this is what I'm seeing.
Oh no, and you're absolutely right. And here becomes the big issue: is how do you fight against an oppressor who is smiling, who seems to have good intentions? I mean, it's on the initial front, it's hard to fight against social justice because, I mean, who wants to, in their mind, stop a woman from doing what they want to? Well, no one. No one in their right mind wants to do that. No one. And then you delve deeper and realize, well, wait a minute, this isn't exactly what you were trying to tell me. The agenda's changed. Things have changed. This is not, just getting women equality. This is making men lesser than and bringing women to such a level and to such a standard that men can't possibly compete or even keep that standard alive in real terms. So it becomes a measure of realistic expectations and then their expectations. And as awful as that is, it's just the reality of the situation.
How do I unblock people on Google Hangouts? Does anyone know?
Well, I have no idea.
Okay, because we have one person who's very interested in getting on. Actually, there we go. All right, but this is the line of inquiry. So the full interview, I made some notes and stuff, basically, and I'll try and relate to you the best that I can. I have to clean these notes up because I was very off the cuff sort of interview. But what we're seeing is
it's just the reality of the situation.
Yes. The numbers.
Linus, do you mind your video and then cutting your mic when someone else is speaking, just because it won't echo as much?
How do I unblock people on Google Hangouts? Oh.
I have no.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just put in headphones.
This is the line of inquiry, so the full interview, I made some notes and stuff, basically, and I'll try and relate to you the best I can. I have to clean these notes up because I was very off the cuff sort of interview. But what we're seeing is it's just the reality of the situation.
Okay.
Yes. The numbers.
Yo, Linus.
Linus, do you mind your video and then cutting your mic when someone else is speaking, just because it won't echo as much?
Here,
How do
one
I
second.
unblock people on Google Hangouts? I have no.
Yeah, Linus, I don't know what's wrong with your connection. You're obviously over a minute behind or something. Or just mute the YouTube video because that could be what's playing. We can hear you though. Anyways, what was I saying? Okay, so the numbers of female applicants to the game design programs are 15 to 20%. 20% is the high-end number. And those are the full applicants. It's an open application process. They don't turn many people down. What we're seeing is that is all that is applying to the programs. That's all we're seeing. So I asked why that is, and the person had a couple of very interesting things to say. He says, gaming for the longest time was a social thing for males, and it's only very recently that it's been socially acceptable for females to get in groups and play games. It may suck for me to say that, but this is what the research is bearing out. I'm going to do more research, obviously. I'm going to be contacting some more institutions. But you never heard of girls getting together in a gaming group to play a game, right?
For the most part, you don't, but...
Yeah. So what we saw was, for the longest time, and he told this as a story of parents influencing the decisions of their youth as well. Parents, for the longest time, he theorized, as he was saying this, it's just a theory, but it made a lot of sense to me. Parents, for the longest time, saw gaming as not a girl's activity. It was a boy's activity. So what we're seeing is the blowback of those numbers. 1 second. The blowback of those numbers of the fact that girls weren't encouraged to play games is bleeding into the present day. He said those numbers, that 15 to 20% number, has been stable for the past couple of years at the very least. And yeah, that's where we're at. The numbers just aren't there for female game developers to suddenly just go, oh, we need better representation. Well, you're just not there. I'm sorry, you're just not present in the industry in large enough numbers for your stated goals to become realistic.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, though, is there's no line in the sand for these people whatsoever. It's not a, I'm going to achieve said goal, and when I achieve said goal, I am done. It's, if you give me an inch, I'm going to take a foot. You give me a foot, I'm going to take 10 feet, so on and so forth. And it really, really is true with the social justice movement. I mean, someone did a hilarious response to one of Anita's, goals, I guess, that she stipulated that she wanted better characters in gaming. And the guy went through all of her videos, used all the selected tropes, used all of her spins on said tropes, and made a character that ended up being an average woman who wasn't too tough, wasn't too aggressive, because that would be the man with boobs trope, and so on and so forth. And it became one of the most bland things ever. One, they don't know what they're doing, first off, because they really don't care about games. If they did, we'd have seen this a long, long time ago. Not in the year 2014. It wouldn't have been by the time Grand Theft Auto 5 has come out. You have to think, Grand Theft Auto, one of the most controversial titles out there that hits the mainstream, has had 5, if not more, iterations. So why is it all of a sudden now that we're hearing about this? Well, they realize they can garner money from it. They can garner attention. So to me, it's not a measure of, oh, it's just so many people applying. It's once they apply, they're either kind of, just one part of the group, which is awesome because that's what they should be. Women who join shouldn't be risen above or below. They should be glorified because they're a minority in a majority male system. That's fine, but they shouldn't be held to a higher standard or a lesser standard just because. And then my next point is, those who are part of the group shut up and do the work. They do good work, and they get rewarded for the games. It's not, oh, I'm a game developer, and my game was okay, but you gave me an award because I'm a woman developer. No, it's a good game, and I just happen to be a woman. On the flip side, it's these are poor games, and the reason they do poorly is because I'm a woman developer, and people are coming after me. And that's what's really sad about it, is it's easier to be a victim in this situation. It's easier to be a victim in the system because the gaming scene is so critical. It should be because, there's so much of it being pushed out, but at the same time, they realize that the criticisms are extremely harsh, and if painted in the right light, can look like harassment, which again leads to the same point I brought up, which is harassment garners attention, harassment does this and that, and it becomes a measure of I can get money for being harassed.
Mm-hmm. It's an unfortunate situation, but he theorized, and I believe in this fully too, that the numbers will improve over time. I think what we're seeing is a lot of these social justice warriors, and I am using that term, I'm committing to it because I'm just tired of their BS, but what we're seeing from them is they want change now. They're impatient at the pace of it. They want it immediately. They want it without question of merit, without question of progress or proficiency of a certain person. They want Anita Sarkeesian running the games industry and telling us how to make strong female characters, even though those are the worst characters possible, because she doesn't allow for any sense of weakness in a female character at all. It's unrealistic. It really is. But the theory is that the numbers will change over time because it's a societal acceptance thing. The problem comes back to society itself. And I actually compared it in reverse to smoking. People used to smoke in interview rooms 20 years ago. People used to smoke everywhere, all the time 20 years ago. Society grew to accept that you don't smoke in front of people. In the same vein, people will eventually accept that women can be just as successful in the games industry, obviously. We know that they can. But there will be more societal acceptance of people, of females gaming, of minorities gaming, of all these sorts of people gaming. To brute force change when progress is already being made seems to me to be
unnecessary.
Yeah. It's just, I just find it laughable. And they're tearing down an industry of people who are already here for the sake of their feelings. And I'm a minority. I'm a feminist. And this is just too far for me. It's too much.
And that's fine. I think the difference now, and it's almost come to the point where feminists have to be redefined as, extremists, and that you as a feminist would probably be more of an equalitist or whatever the change in terminology is there. And that's the sad thing, too, is it's the muddy water syndrome. Terminologies have to change because ideologies change so radically.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate. I actually had the same line of thinking about the terms racism and sexism and misogyny. Maybe we need something because there is problems with female representation and minority representation in gaming. The problem is I think using those words connotates negative things beyond what is actually happening. You know what I'm saying?
I don't really believe that per se. I feel like when you call something like there's not as many females in video games, they call that sexist, or there's not many minorities in a video game, call that racist. I feel like it's too easy for us to use the word sexist and racist on the most trivial issues.
Yeah, it cheapens the word when you use
Absolutely.
it so much. It's like the same thing with game reviews. It cheapens the 10 out of 10 when you give too many games 10 out of 10 for no good reason.
Absolutely, and that's exactly IGN. And the statistical issue with that too is 5 is supposed to be average. So when something's a 7, it's really good. I mean, Final Fantasy 7, some of the most epic games out there, Mario RPG, Metroid, Super Metroid for Super Nintendo, Castlevania, things like that. They should be 10s. 7s aren't bad, but I mean, Linus brought up a good point. Things like IGN, Metacritic, and all that becomes this whole tumbleweed issue of rating games with ridiculous scores that don't even come close to deserving it. And it also cheapens the score. But bringing back to a point I thought Linus brought up that was great is it's so easy now just to say those words. It's become a joke. You say something to your friend, oh, that's racist. Oh, well, I don't care anymore because is it really racist or is it not? Because I don't really hate anyone because of their skin tone. I may not like someone because they say some shit to me, but that doesn't make it racist. Because the exact opposite's happening with Natural Shield Project. Oh, you're a white misogynist male in your basement. The guy happens to end up being black. What do you do then?
Well, they turned it around and they're claiming, oh, well, you're just using it as a
we're the
shield,
criticism.
Yeah.
Using my
Arthur
words
Chu.
as shields.
Yeah. I think Arthur Chu should just be dropped by the anti-Gamergate side and just forgotten about because every time he speaks up, he makes them look even worse. So
It's a tool.
I would like him to stay on just for that reason, but that's just me.
No, he's not a tool. Tools are useful.
Good. That was good.
My problem is, once you call someone a sexist, a racist, or a bigot of any kind, you're ruining their reputation forever, especially in this very politically correct climate. And these people throw out sexist and racist. It's like it's hotcakes. They use it all the time. I used to be like an SJW until I saw, like, wow, these people are a bunch of authoritarian jerk-offs who care more about their ideology than doing anything good.
Absolutely. It's a religious zealotry. It really is. And this is coming from a religious person. I'm not extremely religious, but I'm very, founded in my beliefs. But they take it to a whole other level where it's radicalized, where it's really become a weaponization of an ideology. I mean, take, for instance, the Able Gamers issue. They talked about us weaponizing porn. And by that I mean Gamergate weaponizing porn. Well, who's really weaponizing something? Someone who wants to donate to your charitable fund? Yes, it's got a political tone to it, but it's still money for your fund. Are those trying to cut it off, trying to say you can't donate to those kids who are handicapped? I mean, which is the worst? They chose the latter, saying that, Gamergate's the worst out of the two. And to me, that's what's really sad, is now a bunch of kids who really need it aren't going to get funds that they would want, just because of a political tone from either side.
That is really disheartening.
This whole issue has become incredibly toxic. I mean, in joining Gamergate, I've probably thrown out half of my career opportunities, and doesn't that just say it all?
Oh, yes, and that's exactly the problem. And it's scary, and that's why I retain my anonymity, is because if I come out and I say something, I potentially lose a lot of market value in terms of, what I do. So where does it really become a place, and where is a place outside of these anonymous Twitter accounts, these anonymous streams, and so on and so forth, a place where we can sit down and legitimately discuss the issues? Because what I do hate is when I make a statement and no one disagrees. That's, to me, what makes me feel bad. But on the other hand, to them, it's, oh, no one disagrees? Good. Great. Another follower.
It was something that I posted on my Twitter. Christopher Hirschman said the American left, when they disagree with you, they take it as something personal, and they think that you're like the lowest common denominator, the type of person that disagree with them. If you think something is not racist, they assume that you're probably a racist, trying to hide your bigotry. They have a knee-jerk reaction to automatically assume someone doesn't agree with them, they must be a bigot, they must be hateful, because we're so on the right.
Yeah, it's funny that they try and paint everyone in Gamergate as right-wing, even though the evidence of all the polls and all the political tests that have been conducted indicate that Gamergate is liberal, to the left, as far left as you could possibly go. There are some right-wing people, yes, but it is about left, and at worst, the middle.
Absolutely, and it's absolutely crazy that as soon as you disagree, there's not a discourse that started. And I think, I'm sorry if I get the, it's Linus, sorry. I think that if you don't,
Hello.
If you don't at least allow an open line of discourse, that you're just lowering the standard to mudslinging. And that's what's really sad, is that it really has become down to that. And what's even crazier is that Gamergate, something that's been painted to be inherently misogynist, inherently racist, inherently sexist, so on and so forth, is so willing to have this open discourse. We're so willing to sit down and say, finally, just one forum to say what we want to. I mean, we would all lose it if Joe Rogan had a podcast where he sat down 3 prominent Gamergate supporters and said, guys, ladies, what is this about? But for the other side, it's, the David Pakman show. One of the most left guys out there. A guy who constantly attacks Republicans, constantly attacks the right, constantly attacks everything, comes out and does a Gamergate piece and, does a little series on it. He asks a legitimate question, something that he has had personal experience with, and she turns around and tries to say, oh, you're doing a hit piece on me because you're asking me about tweeting out what's going on. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. They do not want open discourse. And Linus brought up a great point. They are so up their own ass. If you say something to them, they're going to turn around and say, well, they have to be racist. They have to be sexist because I'm so far on the right.
Mm-hmm. It's
and they
unfortunate.
Protect their own until the bitter end at times. I remember looking up the Tumblr of Max Scoville, and I saw him defending the stuff that Phil Fish said, saying he's this artist type, and the dude literally told someone to go kill themselves. He has this chip on his shoulder. He was such a colossal douche that people won't even buy his game, which a lot of people actually think is good. But he's such an asshole, no one wants anything to do with him. They protect their own so much, but anytime we even just walk out line a little bit, they want to stomp us out.
Yeah, it's become it's political. Gamergate has morphed into this political movement. I'm not entirely comfortable with it,
That makes me
but
feel sad.
that's yeah. But it's the facts on the ground. It's reality, kids. We're fighting against something much bigger than just ethics and game corruption at the same time. I would love us to focus on just that because that's a provably winnable battle. Because but
Yeah.
if you didn't hear it, Circle C, my line of inquiry that I want to introduce and I want people to look into this a bit more is the amount of female applicants to game design programs and related fields. Interestingly enough, he said that the representation numbers go up in other fields like animation and film and film.
So I can actually talk about this because I happen to be a 3D animator. So going to school, when I first started, there was the ratio of guys to girls was laughable. Like it was maybe one girl for every 20 guys. And I mean, of course, it was just all nerds. One girl for every 20 guys, and we basically, it was just a bunch of the typical nerd situation. And you just kind of had to live with it. But what was really interesting is and this is like a really small private art school. What was interesting is in the last 2 years, my school has just gotten just this massive influx of girls. So, I mean, I can only speak on like that one situation. I'm not saying every school is like that, but I can see it growing. I can see the amount of girls growing, in these kind of fields, right? And with animation, like you get the whole video game culture in there as well. So these are girl gamers that are going to school to become 3D artists or video game artists.
The change is coming.
Like the change is coming, and I can even see it in kids. And South Park kind of touched on this, but the whole Let's Play thing is drawing a lot of female kids into video games. I have a really big family, and a lot of my nieces watch freaking PewDiePie, Captain Sparkles shit. So, like, I see it happening, and I'm actually kind of like proud. I'm like looking at these kids, and I'm like, oh shit, man, this is the new generation right here. Like, these girls are gonna be making some badass video games probably. I have no idea.
We can prove that change is happening. I mean, but the funny thing is, I asked him if because there is an understandable concern that all this shrieking and yelling about how the industry is misogynist would actually decrease the numbers of girls entering these programs. Apparently, the number hasn't dropped, so thank freaking God.
Holy crap.
I'm going to check back with him in a year. But if the numbers drop, like, considerably within a year, then they've done damage.
Yeah, it would be directly because of this. And that was kind of my main concern when this was first kind of starting. I was thinking, like, things like this have happened in the past, and what it tends to do is just that, like, it discourages people from entering the field in the first place. And by God, I mean, if you knew how it felt to be in a school, all nerdy guys, just like no girls at all, like, you do not want that happening.
It's a sausage fest.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sausage carnival.
But I was in the audio design program at a school, and
Cool.
there was that fairly heavy, significant percentage of females in there, and it was great to have them there because they brought a lot of perspectives to music and stuff. And they're a great company too, I won't lie. But it's always better to have more representation because I believe if education is the bedrock of a good person, then the people you interact with is part of that education. If you have a more diverse crowd, you get more educated. So there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you touched on this earlier, which is basically like, yeah, we've all been dealing with the shitty tropes. Like, that's not a new thing. I mean, I'm black, so I get the whole like, are we really getting this like typical, character again? Or when you get that one black character in there, and then he ends up being like Samuel L. Jackson type kind of character, the angry, crazy black guy. For some reason, black guys are always the demo man or something. But like, like you always get that kind of weird, stupid trope when you could
I
easily
will ask you
have
this
like a
question
nice
though.
character.
We'll ask you this question though.
What's
When
up?
you see something like that, would you throw an accusation like racism at that?
Okay, so you brought up a great thing there. So I watched a video a long time ago. I'm gonna try to pull it up so I can maybe post the link or something. There's a guy named Jay Smooth, and he does a lot of YouTube videos talking about stuff like race and stuff. I don't typically find myself looking at YouTube's talking about race, but came across this, and he talked about how to tell someone they sound racist, right? And basically he's going into the whole idea that like if somebody says something that's like blatantly racist, it's very easy to go, hey, you said something that's racist, you are a racist. And a lot of people tend to do that, but what they don't realize that they're doing is that they're shutting off the person's ability to learn. Like that what they're doing isn't like helping the interaction between the two of you or whatever. And it's because you're attacking like their character, right? That person might be a really great person, but they might have said something really shitty, or might have done something like really racist. That doesn't make them a horrible person. It makes them maybe ignorant at best, or at worst, I mean. But like you don't really have like that's not really like a racist thing, right? You're not racist because you said something racist. You might be ignorant that you said something because you said something that's racist. And what he kind of goes on to say is that you got to correct the action and not you got to correct the action, not the person. Like if a thief steals from you, in the middle of a market, you don't go chasing after him and like accusing him. You just want your money back. You just want to like fix the situation that happened, right? I don't want to.
I've always been of the firm belief that it's not ideas that matter; it's the actions that are put behind those ideas. Like people were right about Donald Sterling because he actually put his racist ideas into action. Like he demonstrably had done stuff that was racist.
Yeah. And I mean, I won't derail it or anything, but when it comes,
I don't want. We could get to very deep waters if we.
You could easily do it, but I will just say this, like there's I don't know, it's really easy to disregard. I think sometimes the actual moments that people have that do make them feel like they are at a place like they aren't welcome. I certainly get this all the time. And I mean, even I don't know, like. Just the other day, it had somebody who cut me off and like said "filthy nigger," and I was just like, "Really? Okay, all right." But like, I didn't take it to heart. Like, I have a thick skin. Like, I've been called worse, so like, it's not a big deal. But at the same time, it's like, do you want to like, see these things all the time? And just like with black people, there's kind of this situation where there's a lot of like inequality that happens, and a lot of times people will just say like, well, if you wanted things to change, you need to get more black politicians in there and have them, represent you more. So like I know with what you're saying, it's like there isn't a lot of females in games, so is it our fault that they aren't being represented? And I don't know. I'm with you on that, but at the same time, I don't know if that's the thing that would change it. It would change it for indie games definitely, but the AAA industry probably not.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's safe versus innovative and being different. And I completely agree with you that certain things are tired. Having the black character, the black protagonist that ends up being a Samuel L. Jackson clone, or having him be something that he's just always been. Yeah. I mean, Valiant Hearts was a perfect example. The black guy was some big tough dude. He was the brute. He was the demo guy, and that was it. Period. And I think that's what's really tiresome for a lot of gamers is they do want to see change. But the underlying issue is they don't want to see change with an agenda. They don't want to see a radically new character. Just for instance, Mirror's Edge, the first one, an Asian female protagonist come out, and then all of a sudden you see this very, very obvious, or even be it subtle, agenda of social justice. I mean, it needs to just be a representation of an art form based on what the artist wants to choose. It should never be a forced agenda on anything. And I think it's sad, though, that when someone is truly racist, it's become so dumbed down, and we were talking about how cheap it is and how, just off the cuff and stupid it sounds when you call someone racist, because it has no weight to it anymore. It's been watered down to nothing. And the internet's a hard forum to push for real advocacy on, and like have it be very clear rather than like this muddy water that it still is, because I mean, it's acceptable to say racist stuff on the internet. It really is, and that's sad.
It's definitely become. Well, you know what? It's definitely become like okay now to say racist or sexist or whatever stuff on the internet. But you know what? Like, I mean, and I might just be weird about this, but like when it came to like Chan culture, I kind of became okay with it. Like you understand that what it is it is a little bit of like a shit test. They're baiting you to see. You're being baited to see like how offended you get, and like if you get offended, then you basically lost. So
absolutely,
I've kind of understood that.
Kind of cool.
I've kind of understood that and realized that like okay, if you're being called a fag in 4chan, they're not really calling you a fag. Like they're just it's just shit talking. Unless they are,
it's weird.
Calling you a fag.
Yeah,
like,
Louis C.K. said it the best, though. There's a difference between someone being gay and someone being a legitimate fag, being gay, and then being a fag. Like there's a huge distinction.
In that too,
yeah, it is, and it becomes expounded on, especially in 4chan culture. It really is. You have to be pushed through this kind of layer of bullshit and shit posting until you can actually get to the content. And I think that's the thing that you brought up was a great point. When someone calls you a fag, it's not them really calling you that. But see, these people don't take it that way. I mean, you can be an advocate for social justice, that's fine. You can be an advocate for feminism, that's fine. What's sad now is there's a distinction between feminism 5-10 years ago and what it is today. It's become so radicalized, and that's what scares me. I got my degree in a lot of traditional arts plus web design and graphic design, and I'm a dude with a majority of women. And when I was studying art history, I could tell that when they feel comfortable, and this is, obviously a generalization, but when the women felt comfortable around me, I mean, it was just like, they acted and talked just like everyone. I mean, they call, another woman a cunt and stuff like that, and it was just the way it was. But with social justice warriors, you can't let your hair hang down. It's not like you're always on edge. You're always, I can't say that, God forbid.
I find most unsettling at times, like the discourses that we have, they're so one-sided. I feel like people, the SJWs have a bad tendency to always want to have someone that has their opinion, and someone that doesn't is their opposition. What I really like about hanging out with you guys, I get to say my opinion and not be judged for it. Because I really like the fact that we're able to say words like fag or cunt or nigger, and not everyone lose their shit. There's at times where everyone, if I said that in somewhere in San Francisco, they would probably try to hang me. Even how I'm black, they'd probably still try to hang me. Because these people just get so shrill.
Well, I don't. Can I jump in there?
You can.
So what's interesting about this, and I'm not an anthropologist here, but what I've kind of found is say you take 4chan culture or half-chan culture, I'll say, and you can say offensive stuff like that, right? And if I was say in that forum, I would be okay with hearing it because I understand what culture I'm in. I've stepped into a culture, and I changed myself to be in that culture, right?
Mm-hmm. I think
right?
what a lot of these reactions to, and I just want to say this because
okay, go ahead.
It is a sort of reasonable thing to say. It's when that culture exports to places that aren't part of that culture, people will understandably not understand what
Yes.
that culture is about. So
Exactly. And if you did that, if you like went into 4chan and just were super offended because you stepped into a culture that isn't yours, like, yeah, that it makes no sense. Like, but like, say if you said, if you said nigger in 4chan, that would be just whatever, right? But say if you went to, L.A. and you said that to somebody there and they beat the shit out of you, that is an appropriate reaction, and I would beat the shit out of you if you said that. Like that would just be you're in a different culture, so you have to take context. Like context is key for this. Is that there are places where maybe you'd get away with saying something or people would consider it appropriate or whatever, but like it doesn't apply to every situation. And what I guess what they're not really understanding, and it's really to not understand it from like an outsider's like point of view, it's really easy. And so I get that and I empathize with that. They're seeing like a bunch of people say just really offensive stuff on the internet, and it looks horrible. Like it just straight up looks horrible.
it does. I saw early on in Gamergate, Zoe Quinn went into 4chan and said, "This is proof they've been colluding against me. They've been conspiring against me to hate me." And it's just like, you went into that image board. You went in there. It's like that Brianna Wu situation. She went into 8chan. She went in there and then she said, "Oh, these people were making fun of me. Therefore, everyone who is connected to Gamergate is a monster."
And that's the thing is, he brought up context is key here. I don't think anyone in their rightful mind would ever, walk into just say a gun store and call, a guy working the counter any sort of racial slur or anything in the real world. I think there's a huge distinction of when I log onto the internet, sign on to whatever, go on to whatever image board. But the difference between us and them, and I really have to say that because we understand common sense, we're not going to go onto 4chan and expect this warm welcome. Like, no one goes on to B and is like, "Oh yeah, these guys are just great, grand, and wonderful. If I bring them all my life's problems, they'll have a shoulder for me to cry on." And I think that's the big thing is these people expect everything to be an echo chamber, everything to be a hug box. If it doesn't agree with them, it has to go. It has to be burned to the ground. And that's what's scary and sad at the same time because these people legitimately believe that. There's some that I think that are truly evil in terms that they're a con artist of an already conned system. Like Anita Sarkeesian, to me, I don't think she believes half the stuff she's shilling. I think that she wants money because she has too much of a checkered past for me to believe her. Now, Zoe Quinn,
her boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
Zoe that to me a little bit. I don't really know about the checkered past part.
Apparently,
he wasn't actually a gamer.
I mean, I knew that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll watch one of her videos.
Let's let Nintendo guy do that.
Okay, so let's go back way in the past that there's I guess just for short terms, it's a pyramid scheme, and a guy uses language that none of us would find acceptable. He teaches how guys to sleep with sluts. It's extremely sexist, just inherently. Yeah, and she is directly affiliated with him and supported him and came out and supported him vastly throughout a majority of her early on career. Then all of a sudden there's a shift and a change when she gets her master's. And she's never once addressed it, which is a huge problem. I mean, I would never change forums and advocate for something without addressing a past that needs to be addressed. So it remains checkered based on her own lack of action. For instance, say a gentleman goes to war and he comes back and decides to be a pacifist and he becomes a huge advocate for pacifism, and then someone finally calls him out on his past. He's not going to block comments. He's not going to negate any commentary, any discourse. He's going to address it if he wants to remain legitimate. And that's where, to me, she has a checkered past. She associated with a gentleman who used very sexist language and did very horrible things financially, manipulated a lot of people and didn't care. And I don't think she really cares about any forum she's in. I think do
you know in what capacity she was associated with him in?
I would have to get you the exact details on that. I study more her tropes and things like that. Sure. But the thing is, I completely agree with some of the initial premises she gives out. Damsel in distress. If it's not a traditional title, if it's not like Mario or something that's been that trope and that's the reason it sells. Yes, absolutely. That's such a boring thing to do in video games. It's been done so much. I
Yeah.
understand that's an issue. But men with or women with or man with boobs and stuff like that pisses me off because Samus Aran is by no means a man. I mean,
Yeah, or the fighting fuck
Honestly,
toy like
that
Bayonetta.
was like the coolest, one of the coolest moments in gaming for me is playing Metroid and finding out that Samus was a chick. I was like, what the fuck? Like that was an awesome moment in my opinion.
yeah,
So the
she's my
fact that
favorite Nintendo character. Period.
the fact that she like that she did, yeah, like I was kind of done with that when the man with boobs thing. No,
Exactly, and that's the thing. I'll get you that information. I'll post it in the chat box.
Yeah, cool. I mean, as far as the Anita thing, like at first I was thinking, with what you're saying, that was like a typical guilty by association thing. But I do agree with the fact that if she has been called on it, she should respond to some extent about who that guy was to her.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
At first, for me, I didn't really see Anita Sarkeesian as that big of a deal until I saw her boyfriend John McIntosh. Everything that comes out of that guy's mouth is the most ludicrous thing. And
Okay, so
Here, let me just point this out there before you go on.
Yeah, go on.
The last line in that 25 invisible benefits of gaming male, the fact that this was written by a white male will make you more interested in it.
no, it didn't. It made us hate it even more.
They could not have said a worse thing at the end of that video. That was the icing on the that was the cherry on the top of that shit cake.
And I just found out about that. I stopped watching the video initially halfway through, and I was like, I just browsed Kotaku in action. That was the point they made? What the
With Vic and McIntosh, or whatever his name is, like he so yeah, I mean it's just like everyone's been saying. Having this guy try to explain privilege to us is the biggest joke because of his background. Like he is a trust fund baby. I don't like having him and Brianna Wu and Anita. Like these guys aren't people that have had any real hardship in their life. I would sincerely doubt that like they've actually dealt with any real shit. So like having them talk about privilege is one of the most insulting things that you like for women, for anyone of any like race or whatever. Like it's just bullshit.
That reminds me, we should get a woman in this chat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If there's any females in viewing, because I know we have 24, which is the most viewers I've ever gotten in my life for anything. But just let me know if you want to join. But anyways,
I'll make a quick little thing here just to let you guys know. I've been working on with some stuff with some other people from KIA on Operation just to like one of you guys was saying. I'm not sure who was mentioning it earlier, but one of the issues that people have been having when it comes to trying to even like get an at-a-glance look at Gamergate is that if you're gonna watch a video on it, the video is at least 3 hours long. And if you're gonna like read articles about it, yeah.
Yep.
If you're gonna read an article about it, it's it's like it's not just one article. It's one article that links to other articles with screenshots and then like all that bullshit. Like we've been working on some condensed like more digestible kind of information. So we're gonna have some videos that are gonna come soon. Hopefully, one of the things that we've been kind of dealing with is just having people just grab all the information that we need. So researchers, if people are interested in being researchers for that project, that would be super helpful.
On that line, this line of inquiry that I just spilled to y'all about the female representation in game design courses, that's only 1 or 2 schools. I've only been able to contact 1 or 2. If you're able to contact some game program schools and just ask about the percentage, you don't have to use specifics. You can say that they're confidential because I don't want these people jumped on.
Yeah.
I told the guy all about what's going on. He's like, yeah, keep me confidential for this because it's just...
Yeah, you can't afford to...
Yeah, so I just want some help in this regard because there's lots of schools. I want to get a general average out of the numbers and see if what this school says is correct across the entire board. And the other thing, I promised Kotaku in Action I'll be analyzing bad game reviews. I'm still looking for examples. I already got the obvious ones like Leisure Suit Larry, Tropico 5, Bayonetta 2. The Tropico 5 one, by the way, is one of the most hilarious things I've ever read in my life. It's like, if you haven't read that review, yeah, look for the review of that Kotaku in Action likes spreading. It's hilarious.
What's even, I think, the big issue, and I'm just going to address the thing of getting a discourse out that everyone can kind of step into gently, dip their toe in the water rather than, being immersed in that maelstrom of 3-hour videos and 40-page article interviews. It's hard to do. It really is a big task for a leaderless movement, and I think it's unfair to ask a leaderless movement to pick something because it's really, really difficult, but it needs to be just expansive enough where it's not just, it's corruption in gaming journalism, because it's reached outside of that at this point, and I don't think it needs to necessarily be outside of gaming, but it does need to be a tad bit more expansive. And then on the other note,
as far as like argument,
I'm trying to figure out the right way to put it.
What do you mean? Do you mean that we should preaching more alternatives to social justice, or not just about ethic in game journalism, or how the whole entire industry needs to reform, even up to AAA and something like that?
Within Gamergate, we need to push for exactly what you're talking about, ethics in general. Because on Kotaku in Action, I saw that Microsoft hasn't paid some indie developers some 58, 60 days out.
That was something that they settled, I think.
Yeah, finally. But that still leaves a bad taste in someone's mouth, and it's just a terrible, terrible thing to actually have happen. And we need to be able to bring light to it. Which
I actually had a conversation with the indie dev just 2 days ago about that, and apparently it was only resolved once the ID at Xbox people chatted with Microsoft and said, if you're treating the people who worked on the Xbox Live indie games platform like this, what does that say about the ID at Xbox program?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is it becomes, to me, the reason gaming journalism is the focus is because it bottlenecks all these pivotal stories that need to have headway, that need to have the limelight for a moment, and that's why it needs to be expounded on within Gamergate. What I'm trying to say is we need to have, even more so than a few URLs, kind of just a factoid set of lists of saying, okay, this is what Gamergate's about, this is what this side believes, this is what this side believes, and it needs to be as non-biased as possible. I'm obviously pro Gamergate to my core, but I'm not going to sit there and say, well, the other side, the SJWs, only want this, this, and this. I shouldn't be able to write that side. Someone who advocates for that side should.
Yeah, that's actually what we've been kind of the thing that we've been working on. It's a little bit more along the lines of a neutral kind of point of view, for just so that people can get some of the main information. And it probably will go a little bit into what actually has been stated as things that we're looking for, but it's not from a point of view of we are Gamergate and we're going to represent the movement kind of deal, but just taking information and probably kind of it's going to be dealing with a lot of talking to a lot of people in Gamergate to actually gather those those
try and get some interviews with people who aren't part of Gamergate, who are
absolutely.
in the middle, or who are anti, because we need those perspectives.
Yeah, and I'm going to try. We're working on hopefully getting some devs to talk about it. One of the things that I've been kind of seeing, which is kind of cool, is that people are starting to kind of realize that this is really, like you said, this is about integrity in the game industry, not just ethics in journalism. It's about having we're losing, it's ethics for everything. We're losing ethics, proper ethics all across the board. And
and it's because it's been bottlenecked, and to me, my opinion is it's been bottlenecked by a lack of reporting, because no one's been able to know this. Any common Joe Schmo who plays video games realizes that these devs haven't been paid. They're going to flip out.
The journalists are our watchdogs, and that's what we're losing.
Who's watching the Watchmen?
Yeah, exactly. That's
the thing, though. That's the entire foundation Gamergate is built off of. These people were supposed to help us avoid spending $60, which in Canada is 6 hours of time of your life that you'll never get back on a product that doesn't work or is completely crappy, off the wall. And they don't do that because it's just our opinion.
Hey, this is not a stream about Assassin's Creed Unity, okay?
I was like, oh, you're about to bring me right into it.
I got that from my Xbox One bundle. Is it really that bad?
Yeah, it was really really buggy.
It's enough to make Ubisoft, of all people, come out and give free games and free
Apology
an
DLC.
apology. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Even Eric King said like Assassin's Creed Unity is like the perfect example of a game that needs to be like recalled, because that's how bad it was in terms of bugs.
It was.
I mean, at a certain point, it becomes like false advertising. You know, at a certain point, it's like you promised us something that would be called a game, and you gave us this. So.
And what's funny, and just from a hardware perspective, is how much power you have to render the game on Ultra. I believe Total Biscuit brought it up. I'm not sure if it was two Titans, but it's one of the highest grades NVIDIA graphics card they come out with. I don't remember the exact specs, but he has two of them, SLI'd, and he had a friend who had three of them. And the guy with three of them could not run Unity on Ultra, and Total Biscuit's running a hot gaming computer. Like, he's running something that's extremely powerful, and he could not render it. I mean, it was hilarious to watch his review of it, because when he's playing, you could see the frame rate drop, you could see it chop, you see people coming in and out of existence, like some NPC just pops up out of nowhere.
And you know what? You know what's really sad about that is that I mean, it is a perfect example of the symptoms of the bad journalism, and also the publisher's push for holiday season games. It's like the devs are the ones that really suffer in this, and I think, I mean, for me personally, like, why I'm in Gamergate is because of devs, because I feel like you have these artists who are really trying to make something good that people are gonna like, and the money guys step in and say, guys, I'm gonna need you to come in on Saturday and just finish this game up before the holiday season. And you're just like now they don't get to sleep. Now they have to try to shit out a game that would have been super freaking cool, and then they give us this, and then everybody complains, and then they have to work even harder to get DLC out to give us for free, which they don't get money off of.
Absolutely,
Now,
and that's what's sad. That's what's extremely sad. I think you bring up a great point, and a lot of people don't understand that. Gaming criticism for just the client and the audience itself is extremely harsh, and on some level it should be, because they have been dealt some shit hands before, like Unity and ET and all like those crazy things that have been so bad that the clientele seems disenfranchised.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they need to understand it's never really the dev's fault. Now, sometimes it is, but I find more instances than not, it's the guys who have the money. Exactly. It's the guys who have the money who realize, oh, marketing-wise, man, we should have had this pre-planned here so we can release it for the holidays, or we should have had it, to release here to be in competition with this. Oh, crap. I think one of the biggest blunders, and as a huge fan, obviously, of Metal Gear, the HD collection being released head-to-head with Call of Duty. And that is probably the worst marketing mistake that franchise has ever endured. And it was done because the guys with money wanted to say, oh, you need to reskin this as soon as possible. And what I really feel bad for is because Konami fucked Silent Hill. Its HD remake is so broken that one of the previous developers came out and said, is this really the finished product? It's just one of those things where these guys are almost stuck in a pit, and they have to climb out that they didn't themselves dig. They're drinking out of a well that they themselves didn't dig. Perfect analogy, done.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But you can see these kind of situations like happen all the time with like holes that these game makers get stuck in. Like Sony kind of got stuck in this with the PS Vita. They made this new console, and it wasn't as popular, so developers wouldn't feel as comfortable making a game for it because of the money that it would cost, and they weren't sure that they're going to get the return. And then it just keeps on, like, it becomes like this self-fulfilling prophecy with all these games that you have to you have to be stuck in this really shitty like method of creating these games. Another good example is like, so one of the things that happens for females in games is like the marketing teams behind these the publishers will say, okay, we've got this game, Mirror's Edge, whatever. There's a female character in it. Female characters don't sell as much as male characters, so we're not going to put the marketing budget behind it. We're gonna give it this much, maybe like half the marketing budget of a male character game.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, when the game doesn't sell as much as a game with a male character, they say, hey, see, this is why we don't put as much marketing budget behind games with female characters. And,
It's a vicious cycle. It's a cycle.
That's why like I said, I empathize with the positions of the noble intentions of some of these people. Yes, there is a problem. There's a demonstrable problem. But you have to go about fixing those problems in better ways than insulting the people that are there who aren't monsters, for God's sakes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's what it is. This is negative criticism rather than positive criticism, right? You could have easily said, "Hey, you see this character? I mean, yeah, we love this character, but wouldn't it be cool if we had characters that did this instead?" But instead, they say this character just fulfills the stereotype that women can't do this, and this character is a sexist character, and this is and it just keeps on adding on the labeling. And at the end of the day, they're basically saying, okay, our list of games that are of sexist games are this is the truth. Take these games, look at them, and see them as sexist. Mm-hmm. And that means that all the people that made the game are now sexist.
It's the selective outrage.
This game. Yeah.
It's a selective outrage. I mean, you have film, you have television, you have books for the longest time, you have stage plays. They're able to get away with a lot of heinous stuff. I mean, look at Sons of Anarchy, for God's sakes. In the last episode, spoiler alert, a female died. And a lot of females and males and stuff have been caught doing some rather heinous stuff, and they haven't been attacking these shows.
You know what?
With the same frequency.
That does remind me, though, is that if you look at all these mediums, they have actually in separate times encountered situations similar to this, where the medium itself gets attacked, and I also have kind of been thinking in the back of my head that this is kind of one of the growing pains of making the medium of video games something, I think it possibly is like a great example of growing pains. I don't really know, because we have to just see how this turns out, but it could just be something that actually makes the video games just grow as
now that you said that, I made a completely stupid statement just a couple seconds ago, but at the same time, historical examples are abundant in each medium. You have the production code of Hollywood in the 1930s. I said this last night. I think Mark was in the chat last night. Say hi. Never mind. But you have
Shit, sorry, I muted myself.
You have the seduction of the innocent in the 1950s that affected comics in a major way. It set back the medium for decades. I'm trying to pick my mind for examples that happened at television, but I can't find them.
I mean, we've already had Jack Thompson, though, and I think that's the reason why we already thought we went through the growing pains. I think at the end of the day. But you know what?
And that's the thing, is that it's strange that gaming can be latched on so easily. That all of a sudden that Jack Thompson can come out, advocate that video games is directly correlated with violence. Well, no, that's bullcrap. All right, we move on. We move forward. Uh-oh, another pothole. And it becomes a thing of how many potholes are we going to fall into here?
I feel like what we have to look at is the time that we're in right now. I feel like sexism is something that is prevalent in our culture, and people want to find some way to understand it. So they do latch onto things that make sense. Like, video games are really popular. They do have some effect on our culture, so they do believe that may contribute to sexism. But I feel that's too much of a dubious statement. I feel there's aspects of our culture that are sexist that leak into video games, but video games do not make you sexist. Same thing, like video games make violent or racist. I feel there are parts in our culture that may permeate that behavior, but I don't really think video games help it. So I feel like focusing on them so heavily, and the way it need to critique them with authority, which critiques them by saying the most outrageous things. And if you really actually think about it, it's kind of crazy, like saying a video game is related to domestic violence. I feel like that's when
Or mass shootings.
That's like
Yeah. Well, interesting thing. I think there was a study just released. I think it was today. But it said bad video game behavior increases players' moral sensitivity. So if anything, they actually improve gamers' behaviors.
I mean, I can kind of attest to that. My own personal experience. Like, I mean, I always kind of felt that games have really made me like think about at other perspectives, like from other perspectives. I guess I would say like. So I mean, I can only speak for myself in that aspect, but I feel like to a certain extent, that has made me grow as a person, as in a similar way that books have made me grow as a person, and some films have made me grow as a person.
Mm-hmm. I grew up. I'm not like a hardcore gamer. I came into this through. I played video games around 2000, 2001 when I was, I think, in my early teens. Halo, Combat Evolved, Fire Emblem. I played games for the music back then.
Yeah, me too.
I've always wanted to play. I've always wanted to make music for video games, and that's what my career is focused on. But I dip my toes in a lot of other culture. I have a huge music library. I watch lots of films. I play video games. I watch television. I do lots of things just to keep my mind filled with fresh ideas and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mark, you want to say something?
Oh yeah, is this you were saying before about the ratio of females studying, something like that?
Oh yes, that's the line of inquiry that I had a chat with the general director's admission. 15% of females applicants. 15% stable over the past couple of years.
I've been to two different places. I've been to college and university, and I can tell you that at the university it was pretty split between. It was about 50-50 for females and males. At the first place I applied for, over the 2 years that I was there, I was noticing more females actually applying, and I also noticed that men would tend to drop out of the course quicker.
Yeah.
So
in relation to that, actually, he did say that of those 15% of women, almost all of them ended up graduating because they seem to have more passion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so while fewer go in, it ends up being a higher retention rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a question about that 50-50 split. What program was that for?
That was for a creative bachelor's. It was multiple different ones like animation, film writing, and stuff like that. However, I did get to see who was in the game side of it, and it was about split. So I think it's become more acceptable. That's why.
Yeah,
which is
he did say that. He did say it was becoming more acceptable over time. But I'm just questioning because I am interested in this information. Like I said, was there an option to not just go for the creative bachelor side and just go specifically just into that program?
I don't know. What it was is over here they actually combine all the classes for certain units because certain units are you have to do these units for each course. Every course will do this unit, and then they'll do their own units. But in our class for game design, it was pretty split. So I'd say it's a good thing, but
yeah, there could be other factors involved, obviously. But I am seeing that's an interesting thing. I'll note that down. What do you know? What school that was?
It's here in WA called ECU.
ECU.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing to note about ECU is it's a very, very big university here, so it's not actually surprising to see that. I think you'd be surprised at private colleges here because they tend to have, I'd say more males apply for private colleges than universities, which is they work slightly different here.
That was the case for me for my school. So, although like I said, over the last 2 to 3 years, it's grown considerably. Now I would say it's at like 40%, 35 to 40% female, and the rest male. So it's changing quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the general sense I'm getting. The numbers will improve over time. It just takes time.
Well, I've got enrollment coming up.
And that's because that group needs to grow. Like the new generation of female gamers is coming up in this generation now, coming up now. So when we're old fucks, there's going to be a lot of female gamers and female game developers in the industry.
I
But
just hope they
we
don't
are
get
the
scared
old
of me.
fucks that need to get out of the industry before those people come in.
All right.
So
Mark, you were about to say something?
I'm just saying, I hope they don't get scared because of all this Gamergate shit. I really hope they don't see the fear mongering that those idiots on the other side are doing. Because I have a friend that has actually expressed concerns over her well-being because of this shit.
I did ask about that. I did
That's
ask the
frustrating.
admissions director. He said that the numbers haven't changed at all. So for now, it seems that the numbers of female applicants haven't been affected. But I am, of course, keeping an eye on the situation.
What I find like really disheartening is how like the media still paints us as like this misogynist hate group, and you guys are just talking about like gaming schools. I look on this article on Motherboard talking about this sex scandal at a gaming school, but I feel like they just kind of like made that up, and it's so disheartening. They literally see a at least well-known publication just make up these stories, and hearing this conversation with you guys is like so positive and so progressive. I feel like it's way better than the people on the other side that tell all these things. I don't know, it's just really frustrating at times being misrepresented as something that you're obviously not.
Yeah, that wasn't a game school, but I do understand what you're talking about with the Rolling Stone article.
Oh no, not that. It was something else.
Yeah,
Oh,
that-
really?
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
All right, send us the link.
I'm still confused about whatever happened with the Rolling Stone thing, but that's not for this stream.
We already talked about it anyways. Optimistic Scales.
Yeah. Hey. I just joined a little while ago.
All right.
So nice to be on here. I was actually a fan of you when so I subscribed to you quite a ways back. I think a year ago. And,
Oh, really?
I was very happy to see you in favor for Gamergate. So I'm very happy to be here.
I apologize. I haven't been able to put out much content over the past few months, but that's just because of medical issues.
Hey, you know, we all have a life. It's fine.
Yeah. I am trying to get Why Haven't I Played restarted because you probably subscribed over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love those videos.
Thank you. I need support like that every once in a while because sometimes I don't feel it's worth it. But thank you.
Oh, it's definitely worth it.
So Beyond Two Souls is next. I think I promised that.
I've actually I've seen a Let's Play of that game, and it was. I think it was better than what was it called? Shoot.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, no. I think it was better than David Cage's previous two games. No, I mean, I think it's worse than Heavy Rain, but I think it's better than well, it was Fahrenheit and
It
Indigo.
was unfairly maligned. I think a lot of game reviewers, when playing it, didn't actually want to experience more of it. It has a lot of nuances in it that aren't generally seen by the gaming public at large because these game reviewers didn't fact check or anything. I think in terms of this whole Gamergate thing, ethical games journalism, I think with modern day Let's Plays and YouTube reviewers and stuff like Total Biscuit, they emphasize the facts on the ground rather than, oh, I have to write about this later. I'll mull it over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a real big problem because wait, when you say that, do you mean like how they brush it aside because they have more things to do?
Yeah, basically, it's a matter of time, and YouTube, what has allowed YouTube to flourish is it's able to show video, actual stuff on the ground instead of us having to guess what the writer meant when they write a review. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And you mean like how they're not completely thorough with what they mean by something and how they're limited by the time constraint and whatnot.
This is part of what I'm doing when I'm trying to analyze game reviews over the past couple of years. There's just not enough context for the reader to figure out what the writer is saying. Sometimes it's like that Bayonetta 2 review. Some guy did an analysis of it. 35% of it dealt with the sexism in the game.
Yeah.
And that made it feel like the game should have been something more like a 6.5 instead of the 7.5. You know what I'm saying? It's context, and these writers aren't allowed to give it because of the length of reviews, because people just will not sit and read 15,000 word reviews. They will watch a 30-minute video. They just won't read a review.
Because it's easy. Because like watching a video is like one of the easiest things you can do because you can have it as background noise while you're playing a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because there have been some really great video game writing over the past couple of years. So.
That'd be disheartening to see it go away, but I feel like with this current press, it wouldn't really be the worst thing ever.
Delete the press.
I mean,
Burn it all down.
honestly, like, I mean, I've been giving this some thought, especially like, okay, when Gamergate first started, like my initial thought after all the bullshit from the beginning was that, like, when's the last time I actually looked at like, a Kotaku review or an IGN review? It's like I've given up on them a long time ago. I mean, I'll look and see who's actually played it, like, in order to get a really good analysis of like what the game is. I don't know if I'll ever really be going back to these guys. Like, even after Gamergate, say this gets settled and they all change their policies, I don't know if I'd ever even actually go back and check these guys' sites to see anything about video games, even if it is a preview of some game I like.
After the behavior, after all of this, it's going to be really hard to just forgive them, even if they update their policies and all of that, because if nothing gets changed like from the inside, like with people, I'm not asking for anyone to get fired, because that's something that's pretty heavy, but I don't know, it's just.
Well, you know what? I don't know if I take it. I mean, of course, I take the Gamers Are Dead articles kind of personally, but I don't know if I take the rest of it personally. If I saw myself as, so I got the opportunity to start writing for games, I would be one of those motherfuckers who'd want to try to like go and get in the whatever Ubisoft's like grand preview of some game. Like I don't know if I would be able to keep myself from compromising my ability to give a review. I mean, I'm honest there. Like,
yeah,
it's really cool to be in the industry and to get sneak peeks at things. I've gotten the chance to do it a couple times, and it's cool. But
yeah, I've obviously gotten the opportunity to do so as well. I mean, I went to PAX for
yeah, like it's some cool shit, and like I could see it being really difficult to disconnect yourself from there, because it doesn't feel like you are in any other type of industry. It doesn't feel as maybe official or something. I don't know if that's the right way to put it.
I know what you mean. I mean, like, I don't see a problem with people going to like certain conventions or certain press releases or whatever for coverage over video games. It's just when it gets kind of more personal between one person and another, that's when I have a problem with it.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like I take the Gamers Are Dead kind of thing kind of seriously, because that's an attack on people's character. But like but when it comes to all the really sketchy corruption and journalism stuff, I have a hard time seeing some of the stuff as corruption and journalism, because I can see it's just people's views people are showing their bias really easily. I don't see that as corruption. I see that as a bias. But there are some other things that do need to be addressed that is like bias, and that isn't necessarily in the journalism. That's ethics in the industry. That's the like IGF indicate stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so,
I think the line needs to be drawn too. That's the big thing. Is
like,
the line from one side needs to be very clear and cut and precise, to saying this is where we draw the line of it goes over it. This is unethical. This is collusion on a level that shouldn't be. This is money changing hands that shouldn't be changing hands. And then there's the difference that Optimistic made, that okay, you're just going to a press release. They're just doing this. I think Total Biscuit made a very clear cut point on the Pac-Man show, which was, I refused taking in something for free because that's not my place to do so. And I think that's right in the ballpark of the line that needs to be drawn. Now, for some it's different. For some it's vastly different. But I think for a majority of us, we're all in the same ballpark of saying, well, that's too much. When you live with someone that you're going to review on, that's when I'm sitting there thinking, well, obviously, unless they're just terrible roommates, it's going to be a good review. And I think
taste in your mouth.
Exactly.
It's just so in the Gamers Are Dead article, like, to really see so many articles belittling your readership was so disheartening. It really shows you guys really do act like bloggers, because they just spout out whatever they feel. And I feel like I do believe there is an ethical problem within this media, because too many times they're too close with indie developers, and they look out for them more than they do for the consumer. I feel like
let me just tell you a story, okay? The red shirt you remember the red shirt articles that have been released over the past couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
On Tech Raptor and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so the woman involved in that article, I think her name is Me Too or something. She said, "Well, the gaming industry, the indie gaming scene, is so small. We need to protect and nurture these people." And then my retort to that was, really? What about these thousands and thousands and thousands of games released every year? What about all these? I went to PAX and I got an invitation to a separate convention that was being held at the same time, filled with at least 100 or so games. The gaming industry is larger than they're letting on, and it does have the unfortunate perception that they're just protecting this small group of people.
No,
Yeah.
that's their industry. That's their little scene that they want to protect. They don't give a flying fuck about the rest of the indie scene because they're competitors. Everybody in the indie scene, everyone is
that's kind of
competing
over
against
there.
each other. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it sound like their scene is the entire indie scene. That way they can have some sort of authority over other people and make them believe that they know what's best when it's the complete opposite.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically trying to kind of split split themselves apart from the rest. They're trying to make themselves the Ubisoft of indie gaming. So I mean, I can see that totally. Yeah.
I think that's the big issue now is that we're coming to the point where it seems like a minority is speaking for a minority to the majority when it should just be individuals speaking for individuals or even groups speaking for groups in their own sake. Instead of turning around and saying, we're part of this indie team right here, they're trying to stipulate we're the entire indie scene entirely. It's like Phil Fish talking about indie games. It's like, Phil, just shut up.
Fuck, that's exactly what it is. Like, they are
Phil.
the Al Sharpton of video games.
Oh.
They are the fucking Al Sharpton of video games. That is exactly what. Oh man.
I can't wait till Phil Fish does a Mike Richards and just goes to the Al Sharpton video game and says, "I apologize on behalf of my race."
Oh god.
Oh god. And
We've already had
apparently
that
he's a
in
DJ
Australia,
now.
man.
Like, what in the world?
DJ Fish Sticks.
DJ Fish Sticks. That's right.
I'm one of those people who actually loves Fez, but I do agree that Phil Fish has turned into somewhat of a dick.
No, he
Somewhat.
didn't turn into a dick. He is a dick.
He is a complete
I
dick.
watched the documentary, the indie game documentary.
I did too.
That he was in, and he was a total dick in there. Like he was pretty much
Parts
a
of it,
dick
yeah.
in that. If you watch
Initially,
it,
you
I
feel
was
so
like,
sorry
he's full
for
of
him.
himself.
And then you turn around and like one scene later and you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Like this guy was crying, saying he was gonna kill himself. Like you feel so awful.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna kill this dude. Dude, are you insane?
Didn't he say that if he wasn't successful, he'd kill himself or some shit?
Yeah, that's what he
Yeah.
said. He said, I will kill myself.
He's
if
super dramatic.
Now.
Yeah. What I really hate is that during a conference, a Japanese man asked him, "What do you think of Japanese video games?" And he said right to his face, "Your games suck."
Yeah, and that's just generally like he thinks he's some authority in gaming as a wholesale market. And what really pisses me off is, dude, you did the sprite art. I'm a graphic designer. Photoshop's not that hard. You had a framework to work with. You had very easy cookie-cutter templates that you added more depth of color, more depth of field, and that was it. Your programmer is sitting over there not making any of these radical dickhead statements, kicking ass, making you a game that's amazing, and you're putting the stickers on it. That's all you're doing. And I feel so bad for the programmer because he's now in cahoots with this dude. So if
Yeah.
anyone's like, "Who are you?" "Oh, I programmed Fez." Oh.
Yeah.
Is Phil Fish a dick?
Good.
DJ Fish Sticks.
He loves fish sticks.
I will say this. One of the things that I feel like is one of the other main reasons why I got into Gamergate was that when the indie game scene kind of first started, I felt really optimistic about it because of how corrupt kind of like the AAA industry was, and I felt like this was a fresh start to get more innovative games in, and I think part of the outrage, and I don't tell me if I'm wrong here, but part of the outrage is that we're seeing what was supposed to be the thing that saved games, and push for more innovation, and we're seeing it like get turned into just some monstrosity.
No, you're absolutely right. That's it.
You
It's
can't
gonna
push
be a
for
problem in
innovation.
AAA.
What was
You
that?
can't push for innovation when you have people doing pixel art all the time. I mean, pixel art was 20, 30 years ago. We have all these game engines like Unity, and we have
Yeah.
Game Maker and all that, and you can make 3D games. You just got to put the effort into it.
Well, some people can make the pixel art actually look like a good art style, but most of the time it's just because of a lack of budgeting or
Yeah,
whatnot.
like-
Just
Yeah,
like
well,
these days.
yeah, well, let me just say this. One of the best games released in the past couple of years was One Finger Death Punch. And the developers of that, I spoke with them, they can't draw. They can't do art at all. They made best with what they have. So let's not just condemn pixel art just for the sake
It's
of
not
Yeah.
that I'm condemning him for that. I'm just saying a lot
It's
of
become
people
the
that
majority.
have gone,
You
a lot
feel
of
like
that
people are leaning on that as like a crutch.
Yep, exactly
Yeah,
what it is. It's a default.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that there's definitely times where I feel like that's the case. There's sometimes I feel like people do it really well. Like when you look at like maybe like Hyper Light Drifter or Risk of Rain or something, it feels like it's really really intentional to have that look specifically. But yeah, I can totally see the like reliance on pixel art as a way to make a game like look kind of artsy, but not really do much
Well,
for
we've always had artsy games. I mean, you can look at LSD Dream Emulator on the PS1. It's not just
Oh,
pixel art.
Yeah.
That game.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting. An interesting example, the first example of the emergent exploration genre that I'm exploring and doing a documentary on. But art games have been around forever.
Absolutely.
But it's only in the past couple of years that they've been like celebrated over, the more commercial examples. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
Which a lot of people are really upset about these non-games like a Gone Home or Depression Quest or things like that, and I'm not really all against it because because I'm all for things that I'm for different things happening. I'm fine with the video game industry taking in new places. My only problem is that like the lack of effort that can go into something that gets praised more than something that had a lot more effort. That's just the kind of place where I get a little
Here's
uneasy
the
about.
thing. Here's the thing, and this is part of my researching into the game reviews thing. Unfortunately, we have this situation where it's like you said, people are being praised for not putting in lots of effort, but at the same time, we have a lot of people on the internet going at these game reviewers, going off the handle because they gave it a less than 10 out of 10. Because these people worked for this game for 5 years, you should have given it a 10 out of 10 and that sort of thing. There is two sides to this issue of game reviews, unfortunately. It's fair to just say, well, the game reviewers are completely stupid and stuff. The consumer has a role in this.
I think ultimately, in light of everything, it's like because of the lack of trust, a lot of people just it's hard to separate what is and what isn't. Like if you see a game that it seems like it's been unfairly criticized or unjustly praised, it's gonna have the look of like there has to be some sort of impropriety there. Like if Bayonetta 2 like wasn't off the charts, like there must be something that's happened because it's just hard for gamers to separate like this corruption with everything that's gone on. So like I don't know if that's ever gonna get fixed. Like there's definitely like journalists that have rated games and they've done a pretty decent job at it. But now it's hard to really I guess separate the two, the bad ones from the good ones.
I think what I'm noticing with this game reviews problem is it's a question of, like I said, trusting these game journalists because they flip flop. They say, oh, the technical matters. I should give this game a high rating because it has multiplayer. We check the boxes, and they created the problem that they're in. Now they created the mess that they're in, and unfortunately, they're getting testy because we're calling them out on that. They weren't great consumer advocates before. Now they're trying to be, and they're failing at it, and they're getting angry at us, their readers, for calling them out on it a lot of times. And you see the Metacritic disparities between the critics' reviews and the user reviews. There has to be something there. That can't just be people being butthurt.
Yeah, honestly, you kind of touched on it right there. It was like, if there was if Anita Sarkeesian just decided that she was going to do game reviews that were based off of like a social justice aspect, and like leave it at that, then like I would be all for that. I would actually be like super all for that and just say like, hey, like I'm gonna review these. These are my opinions on like what this game is. I rate it blah 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 out of blah 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 because of X reasons, and like cool, like that's your rating. We can look at that and be like, all right, but but it wasn't that. Like it wasn't about ratings. It was just like, yeah, I'm gonna shit on this game. If people were deciding like I'm gonna do reviews off of a technical aspect, I'm gonna do reviews off of a story aspect, I'm gonna do reviews off of the graphics aspect, we can take something from that information, because there's specific like win-loss scenarios there,
But I've been of the firm belief that scores themselves aren't the problem.
And I'm with you there.
But it's the context that goes into the giving of those scores. They're just not giving it.
Right, and that's the big issue, because a lot of these AAA developers come out and say, well, now that Metacritic's one of our biggest ways to measure a game's success or not, Modern Warfare 2, for example, that's huge implications for the guys who are actually working on the essence of the game. And if you don't come out with at least a scoring list, objective or not, it becomes a huge delusion and becomes really, really hard to get anyone else into the gaming industry. Because as an artist, I would never go to an art show that's going to be based off of something I have no idea. What are the credentials? What are you looking for? What's the idea we're pushing? Well, just send it and we'll see. That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying, especially from a creator standpoint. So let's flip it on its head and say, in an opposite universe, Anita Sarkeesian is just doing critiques from a social justice standpoint. That's fine, as long as she states that And I think people like Total Biscuit, why they're so popular is because they come out with a set agenda every single time, and sometimes it's very cookie cutter, sometimes it is boring, but you're going to get the same information spun in the same way every time. And yeah, it's fun to turn it up a little bit, but Jim Sterling, for the most part, when he talks about AAA development, I completely agree with. I mean, he's spot on with how things have been so convoluted because context is not given and content is not focused on, and that's just, it's really, really terrifying from the outside looking in.
Yeah, it's terrifying that he eventually just ended up ignoring that and just joining them blindly too. So
yeah,
well, blindly. He has friends. That's why he's with them.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is he has friends. I don't think Jim Sterling, I still applaud him when the collusion was shown in the Game Journal's Pros email. He said that he didn't think this was right, and it's fine if someone wants to have social justice aspects in their opinions, and that's fine if they state that. If they have a disclaimer saying, this is just my opinion, cool. I have no problems with that. If someone disagrees with me, even the better, because one of us is going to get smarter from the conversation, or both of us are just going to get mad. Either way, we're becoming better people for it. What I hate is that discourse has been shut off. There's not content that's been pushed out. I mean, you go to Metacritic, and I couldn't tell you what half of these people's complaints are. I mean, IGN, for God's sakes, gave a 7.8 out of 10 to the new Pokemon because water. Like, as much as funny as that is, yeah.
I apologize. What?
Yeah,
because it had too much water.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that's the thing, and that's where I think scores need to be either undervalued and just pushed down and say these are just scores. These aren't, real not real reviews. I can't say that, but these shouldn't be taken as seriously as others, or something like. There should be a weighted scale to that even, because when someone comes out and says there's too much water in a water-focused environment, that'd be like saying BioShock has too much water.
Oh my God. But
I'll say this. So Metacritic is very, to me, like reminiscent of the MPAA, in that you don't really get that chance to understand what they use to which sites and to what extent like the scores get aggregated. So like in the same way the MPAA can just like grab them, they'll see your movie and they'll just be like, it's not great, and we don't have to tell you why. Like
Yeah,
they can do that.
I mean, you could look at some of the. Let's just point at some of the higher review scores. What's the difference? What's the real tangible difference between a game that's given 9.7 and a game that's given 9.8?
You don't know. That was the problem that I had with review scores when we were talking about it before. Was we don't know what
their criteria
how
is.
much what they value each point, how much weight they give each point they give in their review score.
Mm-hmm. It's sad. I used to have a system, and optimistic scales can verify this. For my way having it played, I had like art design, and sound design, music and sound design. Sorry, story, gameplay, and I weighted each category. I gave it 1 point out of the possible 5, and I rated it like that. It's a system I eventually abandoned because of my work on 2-Dash, and they said, "Oh, we can't write about music and sound design."
It's pretty important, though.
Yeah, I had to cave, but I did have an extra rating, like I said last time we were on the chat, an essential rating, and that was given to games I felt people should play regardless of their flaws. Beyond Two Souls got an essential rating from me. I think, did I give an essential rating to Bioshock Infinite, even though it didn't get a 5 out of 5? I think I did.
I can't exactly remember. It's been a while.
Yeah. But yeah, I that was my way of getting around the score kind of like problem. I rate in categories and stuff more so than I used to, but that was my way of getting around it.
Shit, I mean, there's so many games that have flaws that are just like, you need to play these games.
Sonic
I
06.
mean, so wait, what game did you say?
Sonic 06. Should play that to see what not.
That's just a beautiful little
Sonic
moment
game.
we all had.
I was like, wait, what did you just say Sonic? No, I mean, yeah, Sonic, okay. But like, yeah, there's definitely games that need to be played. Like, I'm all for, like, just, do I recommend this game? Like, and that's just one of those things that you can just build a reputation off of. Like, this person likes these kind of games, and I like all these kind of games, so I'm going to listen to their recommendations from now on.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing with a lot of these game scores nowadays on Metacritic is a lot of people said, "This is my favorite game, 10 out of 10."
Yeah.
I still trust user reviews over critics, though, because you don't know if a critic's been paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw there was one example of one game review sent to me from Electronic Gaming Monthly about the Aliens Colonial Marines review. That was paid off. You can't argue otherwise. That was some of the most blatantly bad writing I've ever seen in a game review. You can't be sure nowadays, and unfortunately, game journalists don't like to admit this, but their entire industry is tainted with the perception that they are just bad, ethically bad, morally corrupt, everything, and they don't care about that perception. They just want to say, "Oh, we just write about games, guys. We're passionate about games and stuff."
Didn't Stephen Tiller just say that Kotaku's an entertainment magazine or some shit?
Yeah.
One of them said that Kotaku's
They are.
entertainment.
I mean, they absolutely are.
Pushed down to where they don't have to claim any responsibility because it's, and disagree with me or not, but Jon Stewart, on the one thing he was called out on, did the same thing. Well, I'm a comedian, not a politician. I don't make political commentary, even though he does. Now, agree with him or disagree with him, like, that's such a cop-out on such a level. It's like, if you're going to make a serious political statement, even outside your own forum of, comedy, or, for instance, Kotaku trying to make statements about society outside of gaming, you got to own up to it. Even if it's crazy, even if a bunch of people disagree with you got to own up to it. But no, they're obviously entertainment. I mean, they're like the National Enquirer now. I mean, no one's going to take them seriously, even more so than they didn't before. But that's the thing to me that gets sad is, the more and more you look at it, it's just PR. It's just pushing PR. Like the Master Chief Collection. I'm a huge Halo fan. I know it's a generic FPS and all that stuff.
I was super disappointed by that too.
Yeah, outside of the cutscenes, what was changed? A depth and quality of color, and that's it. Like, the game looked beautiful color-wise, but I was like, the skins haven't even been retextured. Nothing's been changed outside of the cutscenes, which are a goddamn movie. It's freaking beautiful. And then I go into the gameplay, and I'm like, what is this? And 343 is the textbook example of AAA development going wrong. That they, instead of saying, we're going to bring Halo back to its roots and bring people the next Halo 2 that they wanted with a better skin quality, better hit recognition, and all that stuff for the competitive scene, they said, we're going to make Call of Halo. And
they definitely
Which
exactly.
is sad, because I still am loyal to the Xbox because of Halo 1, which is a masterpiece. Like, I haven't played a more perfect first-person shooter, but...
Counter-Strike.
Oh,
I don't want a mini economy in my game.
But here's the thing: when these games journalists say, "Oh, we're just entertainment, and we shouldn't really be so ethical," here's the thing: they're the biggest gaming websites. Therefore, if someone types in the name of a game to do research on it, they're the first results that pop up.
Yeah.
And with it comes a responsibility, and that's the thing is, the difference between the Jon Stewart analogy is that he is a comedian, by the by. So you go in knowing he's going to say some funny crap that's going to be off the wall. You go to Kotaku and you're taking him seriously. So it's a reverse of that. So it's actually the mirrored image of that, of a legitimate, quote-unquote, legitimate gaming site saying off-the-cuff bullshit and taking them seriously because they're supposed to be serious, than someone who's a comedian inherently and says off-the-wall shit and it's just like, oh, he's just a comedian. The
expectations are definitely different.
Absolutely. It's the whole thing of forum change, too. I go to 4chan, I expect to be called a faggot every single time I post because I'm OP. And then you go into the real world, to go into a job interview, the guy looks at me and says, are you a faggot, OP? I would just be like, what the fuck?
Oh,
4chan is leaking.
This is
I actually had that happen to me in an interview.
This is totally like that.
You really did?
And funny enough, I did it at a gun... well, fine. I work at a gun store as a... Glock specialist, 1911 specialist, AR specialist, and some other things, optics for certain companies. And she is my boss is one of the coolest people in the world because she's this little petite mom who just had a kid, and she holsters a 45, and she walks around with it like she's, kicking ass because she does. And then she was like, yeah, well, we'll get into that later. But she was just talking about video games, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And she looked at me and she goes, are you a faggot, OP?
Yeah.
Oh, yes!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I present to you Mundane Matt. Say hi.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Mundane, how you doing?
Hey, man.
I'm all right. I'm out and about right now, so I'm on an alternate account. Only way I was able to get in, so this isn't my main account, but yeah.
Oh, sure sounds like him, doesn't it?
It does, but it's also a great voice altering software. So yeah.
Nice.
Get me really drunk and it sounds like a really bad Australian.
Actually, there was a funny joke. I'm just going to say this before we dive into more serious. So I was talking with my coworkers at the deli that I work at, and we were talking about how in Australia the C word is used in common parlance. So they say I'll just say it, you're a cunt, right? And then I was saying, what would Canadian Australian be like? And then my coworker says, you'd be a cunt, eh?
No, I'm sorry, cunt.
Although in America, it pretty much just means the most horrible thing you could say to anybody, really.
Yeah.
How dare you call me a cunt? I'm calling you a cunt because you're a cunt.
Like, I personally save that word for really special people.
I try to save it for really special people, but after a few years on the internet, it just becomes standard wordplay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, why you gotta be cutting this up right now?
Man.
Yeah. I asked you in here, Mundane, because I want you to actually put out something. I'm doing a bit of research, and I've actually been talking about this whole time. I just got out of an interview with an admissions director at a game school. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about, you know what? Maybe I should do some research into the amount of females actually for game programs and stuff like that. The figure he gave me, 15%.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, 15 to 20%. It's been stable for at least a year or so. And he said, and we were Brianna Wu likes to talk about how the representation of women in the industry should be like a 50-50 split or something close to that. And I'm like, the numbers just aren't there.
Well, there's there's the old saying that works. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same concept. It's, you can open the door to as many women as you want to come into the field of STEM, and if they don't want to do it, you're not going to be able to force them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that Brianna Wu simply doesn't understand. It's her and Adria Richards, and I think even maybe Anita Sarkeesian sit there and it's like, why aren't more women? Obviously, they're being run away by men. No, they just don't want to fucking do it.
Yeah. He did say though, the admissions director, he did say that the women who do end up graduating are more passionate overall than he says than the male candidates. So there is that.
Yeah, he's saying there's a higher retention of those.
That's a perspective. Yeah, I mean, that's his perspective on it.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure we take that into account.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not just his
just use the statistics. Out of the 15%, more than likely 15% will graduate, with that degree. And my issue even goes beyond that, is that there is no line in the sand, and we've been reiterating this. For them, it's not, oh, there aren't women just coming in the industry. It goes beyond that. Oh, well, women aren't being perpetuated right. Oh, it's someone else's fault. There's an oppressor. There's a secret entity out there that's stopping these women from coming in. They're bottlenecking them when it's them themselves.
It's always something that's holding them back rather than the women themselves to them.
Well, to remove this gender from the equation for a moment, how many people do you know in your personal life that do that? Way more than you probably want to admit.
Yeah.
This is an upbringing problem. This is not a societal problem. This is people, and this is my personal opinion, is that people these days are absolutely positively afraid to dream, because if they dream, they're told their dreams are stupid. And if they attempt to go after what they want to do, they're told that that's not going to pay the bills, or that they need to do something first in order to, pay your way in order to get what you want to go to. We don't tell anyone that it's okay to go after what you want. And so people get this mindset from when they're kids over this shit. And, it's like, I'm not going to lie, I did a lot of that myself. I didn't even move to Hollywood until I was almost 28. Because I was just too fucking afraid to move to Hollywood.
Hell, I mean, I've stuck around way longer than I should have just to get, my bachelor's for 3D animation, because everyone's saying, oh, you need to get your bachelor's in order to do something with your life. No one's going to care about anything unless you have a bachelor's. And I'm like, fuck that. Like,
well, in that field,
you want to have a good portfolio,
yeah,
not a good
exactly.
bachelor's.
People don't understand when it comes to business, that what you're doing is you're paying for that piece of paper. Like, I have a friend of mine who's she's currently going through 3 degrees in community college.
Damn.
And I was all like, damn, because she's been in school for I think 7 years now or something, which is about right for community college these days. And she's like, I'm like, have you thought about transferring? She's like, why? I looked at the exact curriculum that an art institute would have that's going to cost me $100,000, and it's the same thing I get going to community college. But if I have a good portfolio, people are going to hire me.
Exactly.
And here's the
I
thing,
went to an art institute, so yeah.
But here's the thing: is she's in her mid-20s. She's an avid gamer. Her father worked for Mad Catz for a long period of time.
Oh, nice.
She wants to work in the gaming industry. She is actually a pro gamer. We've talked about this. She doesn't have an online presence, but she's definitely pro what it's about. She fucking despises Anita Sarkeesian and thinks that she doesn't speak for me, and she needs to stop.
Get her.
Most women do, to be honest.
Yeah, get her on the freaking stream. There's one thing I will say, though, about art being different, especially in terms of having credentials. Say she was doing something else, like she went and got 3 degrees in business. It would be much more difficult for her, and this is a problem with academia in general, it'd be much more difficult for her without the name brand of a very upper echelon, collegiate name, because she wouldn't have a portfolio to show. She would just show her credentials in terms of, okay, these are the classes I took, these are the credits I gained, these are the degrees I graduated with.
Just
art,
looking at it like, you went to a community college?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, with art, you can turn around and say, yeah, I went to community college, but look at my freaking portfolio, because that's the second thing you're asked as an art, I'm a designer, so when people look at it, they look at my portfolio, my personal website, they're like, wow, this is incredible, how did you code this? I'm like, well, I mean, because I went to a larger name school, but at the same time, I knew a lot of people who did what she did and got away with it because it's art.
Man. I wish I had done that. I'm looking at like $60,000 in loans and
30, baby.
Here's the thing. My girlfriend has her master's degree in economics, right?
Yeah.
She has a master's degree in economics. She got it at the tail end of 2010 or 2009. She got her master's. Took her almost 5 years to secure a good enough job to start being able to pay back that debt. right? And she told me, she's like, I wish I would have not done this because I thought, she's like, I thought I had to go to school because that's what they told me. Everyone told me go get an education,
Yeah.
but nobody told me what to get an education in. So I figured this is what it was going to be. And what she's doing now, her coworker has a master's in I think dance, right? And her coworker, and they're project managers. They're fucking project managers, but I'm not going to say how much she makes, but it's a fair amount. And the point is that it's like, this is the thing, is like, you don't need to have, it doesn't matter what your degree in. If you want to work in human resources, you have to have a bachelor's. You could have a bachelor's in fucking Game Boy.
Exactly.
It wouldn't matter. And that's the problem with our education systems. We put so much emphasis on that piece of paper and not what you do with the education that you've been given.
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm not going.
What I also wanted to say, Mundane, is that I'm looking to research this more because Mark already said that there's a 50-50 split of game females in the game program at his school. The good thing about the game industry is you don't need a game industry thing, but it is a good metric to understand where we are at in terms of the numbers involved. But I'm looking into calling other universities, other game admissions programs, seeing what the numbers are, and then crunching those numbers to find an average across the country. Because I believe that more women would be represented in games if there was a stronger foundation there, but they just aren't there yet.
So one of the
I
things
agree with you.
one of the things that is interesting to think about that you should always do when you go to research something, at least I would suggest, is to understand what you would do with the information if it leads to either solution or not solution, to either result. Like, what do you want to do with the information when you get it?
I just want to put the information out there and see, just to show that the numbers aren't there yet for game design. If the numbers prove me wrong, I'll put that out there. I'll put the raw numbers that I've been able to find out there just for everyone to digest. But what I'm seeing so far is that it's less than 50-50 that these Brianna Wu and Anita Sarkeesian want. So,
well, of course it's less than 50. If it was actually 50, they wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
yeah.
So they have to know that the numbers aren't working in their favor, which is why they're putting up as big of a fight. But in my opinion, Brianna Wu is actually frightening more women away from gaming and coming into the STEM fields simply because of how utterly aggressive she is. And that's the problem, though, is like, she's so aggressive, it's going to turn people off because they're going to be like, who's this crazy asshole?
That's what she wants, though.
And inherently, they think they speak for everyone within their sex and within their, it's ridiculous. Like,
Well,
I've never
yeah.
known.
Didn't she say on that MSNBC interview that she did, I know all the women in the games industry, and they're afraid.
She knows all the women in the games industry, but all she references is Maddie Bryce and Samantha Allen.
Exactly.
All I'm saying about that is if you look at the kind of club that those three belong to, and there's a little club they belong to, that's why she focuses more on them. The only other person she mentioned was Jen Frank, who's a fucking blogger from The Guardian.
Oh, God.
That's not a person. Why didn't she come out and say, "Oh, well, I've met, I've corresponded with Roberta Williams, or I've talked to Amy Hennig, or I've talked to fucking Jade Raymond, or all the other unnamed women that we have in the industry that are out there that are doing the day-to-day job." And it's like, why don't we talk more about them? See, that's the thing too, is like, reach out to them and go like, what about your job do you like? Do you encounter these problems? And I guarantee you that's not going to be as bad as they're saying.
And
Monday, you have to understand that requires work, and work is hard.
Work is hard. It is. That's why I rely on you guys to get the numbers to tell me to then do the video about it. That's how it works.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Inherently, that's the problem, is all these great developers out there, and they happen to be women, and then they turn around, they're just doing their job because they're passionate about it. These people who are truly passionate about something don't have to advocate for, oh, look at me, I'm in the industry. It's the exact opposite.
I think it's
just
a
want
lot
to put their
different
nose
than
to the
what-
grindstone.
I think it's a lot different than what everyone's saying, though. I don't think she wants more people in the industry. She's clearly a narcissist. What I think she wants is she wants to try and keep as many women down so she can prop herself up as the role model, as the pin-up model for women in tech. Because the way that she acts, she makes it sound like she's already this big success and that people should be following after her and all that sort of shit. So it's not surprising to see her fear-mongering to try and keep other women out. That's what
I'd
I
like to
think.
know
at least.
precisely what success that she has. You know, like as far as I know, my friends who game exclusively on their iPad, which is I know quite a few, Revolution 60 is not even in their backlog or things they've looked at. I've showed it to them and they go, "What the fuck is this?" Like,
Yeah, I
it's a
never even
game.
heard of
You
her
play as
until this year.
strong-willed women, and they go, "But this looks like crap."
I'm pretty
I
sure
know.
no one in the game industry knew her until she started this whole bullshit.
Well, I
That's
mean,
why she did it. Same
Yeah,
with Randy Harper.
That's exactly why she did it. But like, I don't even know what Randy Harper's deal is. But like, for sure,
I'm pretty sure
She
Randy
has a
Harper's
huge
tombstone, it's
rap
going to
bit.
say creator of the GG Auto Block. That's what it's going to be. It's like, because that's so far, like, her entire life's, like, work at that point.
There's going to be
is
some
fucking
Georgia
just-
state trooper standing over a grave being like, we didn't get her until the end, boys. She failed
No,
to
I mean,
appear.
like, well, did you see that thing on Kotaku in Action today about Randy Harper talking about there being a doxing problem with the anti-Gamergate side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I read that this morning, and I just wanted to, like, plunge my head into a wall. Like, oh my
She's
god.
keeping those doxes, man. She is holding on to them. I guarantee
Deleting
you.
my yeah. Look at Pleb Comics, right? Do you really
Yeah.
they're really they're deleting that information. You know, I mean, here's the thing: is like people ask me, "What are you gonna do when you get doxxed?" And I'm all like, "Fuck it, I'll release my movie. That's it." You know, I'll be
Nice.
like, "I got doxxed. Watch something shitty that I made."
Take advantage of it, man.
Here you go. Oh, who's Mundane Matt? He made this really craptastic film.
I do have to
That's his-
say,
that's
one
his
of
legacy.
the best handling of a doxing incident was Internet Aristocrat talking about someone getting called at work and one of his coworkers, and he was like, I was laughing about it while she was like in tears, and please, just for her sake, stop calling. You can
All
call
right.
me personally.
All right, I'm back.
That actually happened to him?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it on his Twitter, but again, that whole not gonna.
He
talk
gave
about
out fake information, and then someone called it up. I remember seeing a comment a while before where he said that he teaches. So I'm pretty sure he's a teacher.
Well, I
He
know
said
he says
something
he
about
gives
leaving-
speeches too. Like he does something with speeches, which is given his persona, the way that he talks, you can easily tell that this guy does that shit
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
You know.
Very well spoken.
I know.
I
God damn
exit out
it! He
there.
needs to come back.
Yeah, hyperpole.
Yeah, I had to exit out there for a second because
blame
Google
Paul.
Hangouts was chiming me constantly for updating it. So, ugh.
Well, just a real quick note on that too. Hasn't IA done this before? Hasn't he gone in and out like where?
A couple times,
Yeah,
yeah.
couple
But the
times.
thing is, though, but never quite like this. That
Yeah, I
was
mean, he
before it
blew
was
up
like-
and then went.
It was Well, and I said this in my video about that is I'm really sure he was afraid of hitting that 100,000 subscriber mark.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
he did not want that plaque.
He did
He
not
doesn't
want that plaque.
attention. He really doesn't want the attention.
Here's the thing. Motherfucker doesn't want attention, okay? But yet he comes out there and does his video, blows up, continues to do videos, continues to do live streams, continues to watch his shit grow, and then goes, okay, I'm done. You know, and I get it, and I don't fault the guy. I'm not mad at the guy.
I actually kind
No,
of
me neither.
that a little
Like,
bit.
I wish he would come back. I really do, because it's like the thing is like I understand like when you get to the point. I understand partly why he bailed out. It's like, you know, I've said and done some shit at the beginning of this thing like I thought was funny. Believe me, others did not. And so like all of a sudden I've got like an entire like /V thread going like you need to yell at that motherfucker, and I'm at work going what the
Yeah.
fuck, and then my phone's blowing up like you need to delete this or fucking remove this comment. I'm like how do I do it on an Apple product?
Yeah,
You know?
no, hey, I definitely understand. I mean, everyone gets mad at Aeneas Arcesian for cutting comments, but Total Biscuit has done that too. I mean, eventually it gets to you. I mean, these people are human, and that's
Yeah.
one thing Gamergate hasn't realized. They think
Well, the thing
a
with
lot of you,
Biscuit,
like
though,
you
is to
yourself.
listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his is different. The reason why he did that was because he doesn't like the format that they changed it to.
Right, and there's that too, but at the same time, on principle, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it to the point where Aeneas Arcesian, on principle, changed it for another reason, but at the same point in time, it gets to people, and that you know a lot of these faces of Gamergate. I mean, you know, whoever they are, even if you agree or disagree, they're not automatons. I mean, they're human beings. They make mistakes. They'll say something that you know.
Yeah.
Like I know Mundane, you were attacked for Council of Gamergate, and you know, oh my God, Mundane said that.
Council, Agents of Balance, Five Guys Burgers and Lies T-shirt.
Exactly. And see, that's
fucking sending death threats to someone that I never sent.
Exactly.
Skype cabals. Yeah, the list goes on and on, including me. There's a thread on poll on 8chan about me today, saying that I'm single-handedly fucking Gamergate for personal profit, and saying that I'm false feeding information to people. It's hilarious.
And that's what you've done.
Yeah,
Astro.
but
You know,
the thing here is mundane. You've done a lot of good. You post a lot of information out there, and you've admitted to your mistakes. In that regards, you're definitely doing a lot better than the anti-side has. So we're glad to have you.
Yeah, I would actually like to say, like, just for you, Mundane, like, when I first started getting into gaming, well, it was basically at the very beginning. Your videos were some of the first ones that I actually saw that kind of condensed a lot of the information. So I appreciate that, actually.
I'm just really lazy, and I like to summarize it as fast as possible.
Yeah, that totally works for me. I was like, what the hell is going on? Oh, here's a video about it. Sweet. So that just happened to be like one of the ways that I was able to kind of get a lot of the beginning information.
No, and the thing is, there was a lot of odd information in the beginning, and just a lot of shit that was happening constantly. And yeah, it's like, and there's things, honest to God, going on right now. I have no fucking idea what's happening. Like,
dude, I can't go to sleep for like freaking 2 hours without like something else happening.
Oh yeah. I've stayed up for 2 nights in the past week just browsing Gamergate stuff because it's a web. I mean, I'm the guy who does my research.
I have to force myself to play Grand Theft Auto. I have this huge backlog of games right now, and I'm like, I really need to get through like Dragon Age and Assassin's Creed and Smash and all these other games that I've fucking somehow bought that I shouldn't have bought that I did. And I'm sitting there going like I'm sitting there, I got like, Far Cry 4 was on sale, and I'm like sitting there like completely shrink wrapped. I'm like, I'm gonna play you eventually. Eventually, I'm gonna play you. And then I go home and I'm on my computer, and I'm like, I should really just finish up GTA 5. And then it's like, oh, what's going on Kotaku in action?
Yeah,
exactly. Press refresh on Kotaku in action.
Everybody's
be there for days.
I've been trying to work on the animation all day, and like every now and then, like every 5 minutes, I'm just let me see. Oh, somebody tweeted me. Okay, no. Like.
Well, then I look at stuff and I'm like, this could be an interesting video. This could be an interesting video. Like, what's going on with Roguestar? That's if you ever just want to find shit to talk about, just follow any one of his 25 suspended accounts.
Oh my god.
You will like always find something that's happening.
And that's what it is. Like every time I freaking wake up and it's like Roguestar's been banned again. Oh shit! What the?
Yeah,
fuck?
Exactly. It's just becoming
like a zombie who just won't die.
Oh, finally Solution 6. Okay, what the fuck?
Yeah, see that? Yeah, I know. I got like someone hit me about Solution 6 a few weeks ago. They're like, "What the fuck is it?" And I'm like, "I got no idea."
Yeah,
I got home when I found out.
Get right on that.
They're just like since I get people like, "Oh, what is it?" And I'm like, "It's just shit posting." Just like, are you gonna do a video? And I'm like, what would I say? Hi everyone, my name is Mundane Matt. What is Solution 6? It's shit posting. Stop touching the poo. Video over. Subscribe to my Patreon. There we go. That would.
Yep.
Have you had a chance to actually read all the documents that he's put up?
I downloaded the file. I have not had the time to go through it. I was really hoping that like Sargon was going to go through it because that's my source of information. So
yeah. Mine as well. He's the one who brought me into Gamergate. That guy knows.
He's been pretty legit.
He's pretty. No, I like Sargon quite a bit. Him and I we talk all the time and everything. So it's like I'm a big fan of his. He was like, oh yeah, I found this because of you, and I was like, yeah, I listen to your shit all the time. And he's just like, what, really? That's awesome. Like, I'm like, you guys spit out good shit. I'm gonna fucking watch you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was I saying? Oh, I just got sent a link on Twitter. It relates to the gaming review, kind of like a article that I'm writing. Apparently, this stuff goes way back. Amiga Power. I was sent a few links relating to that, and I just want to find those tweets by Jenny Tablina, and they hyper-reviewed a game called Rise of the Robots back in the 90s. And
I remember that game. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Isn't the word like they reviewed the demo?
Yeah, and apparently a lot of gaming review websites were reviewing games that weren't even finished. So this goes way back.
I can tell you guys. I can tell you guys something too. When I worked for the first, I'd say maybe established website I worked for, we had the owner of the site was like trying to get free games all the time, right? And you're starting off, you're always trying to get free games because that's how you figure you're going to entice people to fucking, we're right for you for free is if you give them something for free. And so I remember we got like Mafia 2 for the PS2, or Mafia it was Mafia for the PS2, and then it was like a few things here and there, and then after a while, I'm like looking at the review breakdown, and he's like, you know what I do now, man? I just play the game for an hour, and I can tell you everything you need to know about the game for an hour, and he reviews it based on an hour, and I'm going like, and then I heard from a lot of other people that's how it goes because games that come out. It is,
Wow.
and they say now it's like they'll go. You see these reviewers, and they're like, "I was locked away in a room for 4 days, slaving over this game to beat it." And you're like, "Yeah, but then how come your review's only like 4 paragraphs?
Mhm.
Like, explain to me how that works out. Like, really, come on.
Yeah,
It's
you
also-
go
You were
through a
in there with a
6-hour
flashlight.
playthrough.
You know?
I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you, as a former, teenager working at Blockbuster Video, I that was basically what I did. Like, I mean, after a certain period of time, every game that comes through, or every game or movie that comes through, you pretty much know what it's gonna be as soon as you see the cover. But like, you could watch a little bit of it and be like, oh fuck this, and you turn it off because like you already know it's gonna be shit, So
Yeah, that is a valid viewpoint,
there's
but
a
at the
little
same
bit.
time, these are supposed to be consumer
If I'm
advocates, right?
Yeah, again, if I'm a professional, I'll probably, people don't. I mean, people come into Blockbuster or whatever. They'd come in and ask me what I thought about a game or a movie, and I'd tell them. But again, that is not what they pay me for, and so like that's the difference there. But there is a certain element of I know what I'm looking at as soon as I turn this on. That is there. So I'm not
games,
condoning it.
Yeah, no, I didn't condone it either. It's like I would go through and you want to play the game as much as you can because you can't really review the full thing unless you beat it. But you look at something like Dragon Age Inquisition and they're boasting 100 hours of gameplay,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah,
like,
it was
okay.
side
And then was it
quests.
the Elder Greek or Elder Geek did a review of it? I think it was on like Our Games or something, and they're like, oh, his Dragon Age Inquisition review based on 75 hours. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Oblivion, I logged in over 120 hours in that game, and I never beat the single-player storyline.
Me either.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, I can't tell you how the fucking game ends. I can't tell you what happens past when you go to the fucking meet the friar dude.
Well, how would you
Like,
review
second
games
mission
like
in the
that
game.
then?
I seriously
Like,
love Skyrim, and I still haven't gotten a chance to beat it. And I played.
Yeah, it's just Bethesda
many
walks out and cock slaps you with fucking side quests. That's just what they do.
I get so distracted. Okay, but me personally, I'll just throw this in there. I have this like ADD kind of thing that happens with like these open world games. Like I have never beat a Grand Theft Auto. I just get so distracted. It's just hard. Like you're just walking down the street and you bump into an old lady, and next thing you know, the world is on fire, and you're like, how the fuck did I get here?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's me GTA 5 every day, dude. I'm like, I need to steal this car. I'm just gonna shoot at the driver. Oh no, I hit the one behind her. Oh shit.
I think
You got 5
what's
stars,
been
and
lost.
you're surrounded by dead hookers, and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
I think what's been lost in this hullabaloo of Gamergate is the fact that at the very end of the day, we just want accountable games journalism, right? And unfortunately, one of the things that games journalism has to be accountable for is the content of its reviews. How do they get that information? What context are they giving? What information are they giving to the readers? How did they arrive at a certain conclusion? We just don't know most of the time. I asked this question. There's this game that a game released 10 years ago that got like 10s out of 10s or a certain high amount of praise, like Brute Force or something. Would you give that 10 out of 10 nowadays? And if the answer is no, well,
That's
what
not
were you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I think the big
And I had that game the day it came out too.
Yeah, I think.
Well-
Wow, I think that's the problem, is that you're being bottlenecked by people who won't openly and genuinely disclaim what they're doing and what their stipulation is for the review. And I think that's a big issue, is that they're not coming out and saying, well, this part of the article is going to be opinionated. Disclaimer, this is my opinion. This is the technical aspect of the game, so on and so forth. And I think that needs to be expounded on. And that's where the big problem lies, is say someone just getting in reads a Polygon article and they start reading all this agenda pushing, and they're like, well, I really didn't want to know about social justice and Pokemon. I wanted to know why IGN was retarded enough to say there's too much water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think part of the problem comes from the fact that think back like 10 years ago, right? Just like 10 years ago, 2004, 2005. What websites were around, right? What websites were there? You had IGN. I think there might have been Team Xbox was still around. A couple of these other sites. I think Destructoid was just getting started, maybe, or about ready
Maybe
to come out or something.
GameSpot.
GameSpot was a big one, right? Yeah, IGN and GameSpot were super big back then. Now GameSpot's probably going to be defunct in about the next year and a half, from my take.
Probably.
But did you know anyone by name? Did you really think about these people by name? Right?
Mm-mm.
You didn't, because you just went and you read the review and you took it at face value, and that was that. Then you get into the social media age, and the social media age creates personalities.
Yeah,
And when
and
that-
there's also like G4 kind of brought up some actual names too, though. as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I-
G4 did, but G4 was entirely meant to do that,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, Adam Sessler, had it not been for G4, would just be coked out working at some IGN right now or some shit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's all it would be.
Like Keely too.
Yeah.
Keely.
He's probably
Morgan
coked
Webb.
out regardless, but
Yeah.
based on
You
what
know,
he
anyone-
said the past couple days.
Did anyone find it strange that when this all started, he had a photo of him with Alex Lifshitz and Zoe Quinn, and they're in a bar, and he's like, "I'm watching people trying to hack Zoe Quinn." It's like, hang on a second, you guys are in a fucking bar on your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, well, did you also
Why
read
would
the
you
next
be
little
watching?
part of that line?
No,
This is funny, too.
shouldn't-
He says it's all very mundane. Right?
Ooh, shots fired.
Right? And I was like, oh, you bald motherfucker.
Okay,
You know, because I was live streaming.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
live streaming at the time when they were doing that, and what it was is I was live streaming, and I think it was like the DMCA had like just been lifted on my account, so I got the account back, and I was like, I'm gonna go live stream and shit.
Cheeky
And then
bastard.
we were watching this thing go down, and then Zoe Quinn was on. If you looked at that photo too, right? Because I'm like going in there, like zooming in and everything, all fucking
You seen a
enhanced,
massive zit?
right? And it's like, well, no, Lift Shits was on V. Lift Shits was
Oh,
on
that's
V,
right.
right?
That's
And so they were shit posting on V, trying to rile everybody up, and then claiming harassment on Twitter about it because Zoe Quinn and like I think I had maybe 1,200 people watching or some shit, and I'm like, link over, look at this photo right here, like this comes from her Twitter. You can see the little delete button right there. So she's fucking screen capping her own Twitter account,
That's
posting
right.
it on to V, and then going and deleting the tweets, making it seem
Oh,
that
man. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like the
this is what
same
she's
thing,
done.
yeah.
I mean, everyone in anti-GG loves to pile on Aaron Gianni for saying stuff, but from what I've heard, and I'm only just saying this, once he gets that gag order lifted, shit's gonna fall hard on some people.
I would listen, when it comes to Aaron, I would take a bit of what he says with an exceptionally large grain of salt. Aaron, people keep asking me all the time, like, oh, have you talked to Aaron? I'm like, I've talked to him one time in the IRC, and that was strictly because I think he was talking to Synthivine, and he wanted me to come in to clarify something about my original video, which was, why did I mention Anita Sarkeesian? He felt that was like not accurate. And he's like, we were kind of going back and forth about it. And then looking at the quote in the context of what I said, it made sense. And I explained that to him, and he still wouldn't have any of it. And so then, this is a guy that's like, don't harass, don't do all this shit. Then he's going in the IRC, and he's talking every single day. And it's like and a lot of other things he was doing at the time were basically like, this guy was having, I think, a validation problem in terms of people were like, oh my God, like that's you.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I can control this now. And he said that, I think, in an interview, he wanted to try to like steer it to a certain direction. And I'm going like, I'm like, good luck with that, dude.
Is that the
I think
interview where they
that was him backpedaling a little bit, trying to like do a little bit of damage control.
Yeah, I mean, I get the guy's angry, and
Yeah.
because reading his blog post was like, dude, you could tell the guy was fucking like, he was angry, he was mad, he was upset. I felt really bad for the guy. But then it's like looking at the actions that happen after the fact, and like none of us are perfect, so I don't really fault him for this. But I look at it more like, you're trying to control something that you had a very large hand in making. And that's one of the problems that happens. It's like, maybe that's one of the reasons why I kind of suggested what I suggested. Back with the idea of like, let's form some organization. It's like, maybe it felt kind of chaotic, and I feel responsible. I feel I have a hand in this. So, like, that's where my mind is. It's like, let's maybe find a way to like maybe kind of steer it a direction that might be beneficial. But the problem with it is, and this is actually works to GG's benefit, is that it doesn't have that.
Yeah, because as soon as you have, it doesn't matter if it's one or if it's 10 people, you can go, just in the same way that we do. They can come and look at us as individuals, whoever are part of that council, and attack each and every one of their character. And
Exactly
No,
right.
I mean, and that is something.
all of Gamergate falls underneath those 10 people, whatever it is. So,
Well, and if you look at Roguestar is a prime example of why you don't need anyone in fucking, I mean, anyone who's super visible. This guy, and I give a lot of credit to him on this one, is the fact that he is,
trooper.
he's fucking like, fuck these guys. Like, I will go, like he will fight this to the end. Yeah. Him and I have talked and everything, and like, we're cool and everything, and so I give him credit for his dedication.
Could I get your guys' opinion on the latest op with the emailing?
Solution 6.
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Don't know enough about it yet, to be
I
honest.
saw the list. I honestly have no fucking idea what he's asking.
Okay, well, so I mean, when he first did it, like I just saw his, like whatever the tweet, and it was just like a dump of email addresses linking to devs, and
I've poured through them.
and then he was just like, okay, like email these guys and tell them about the corrupt, IGF and Indicate and stuff. And
Okay.
my first reaction was just kind of like, I don't know if we want to go pissing off devs by just bombarding them with emails.
Yeah, that
was my initial reaction. I haven't really been able to parse through and just see what it is.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's
I've
asking.
taken an extensive look at it, and here's what I can say. He's basically just using the same old Polytron documents that were hacked before, but he's did a bit more research and added a bit more blurbs on top of it, basically.
Giving a rundown.
Yeah, giving a rundown of it, and he basically, that list was made saying, listen, email these people, tell them that they're going to be ripped off by IGF and Indicate because these organizations are corrupt. They're not going to let them win because they've already decided the winner going in. And you're paying. He said it wouldn't be a problem if you didn't have to pay to enter these competitions, but you do.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's why he's doing it. Unfortunately, I saw an interesting response, and it basically said that IGF and Indicate had reformed themselves already, so this is unnecessary. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I would trust anything they say at face value. Oh no, guys, we know we've been caught with our hand in the cookie jar, but it's cool. It's cool, dog.
It's just like the whole like.
Don't worry, Depression Plus won't win again.
We'll just have to go
one
through the
disclaimer at the end of the Kotaku article is just like, oh yeah, and we were dating at this time. Like what? You can't do that. That's not enough.
Is that the disclaimer that they put in there?
Yeah, well, one of them had a disclaimer put in, and this was like old article.
Oh, it was
like the half
Patricia
sentence.
Hernandez.
Yes, Patricia Hernandez.
Yeah,
that was it.
yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that is so unacceptable. Because one of my friends, she's a very good journalist, and she's getting into the industry, and I ask her constantly, like, is this, acceptable? Is this acceptable ethically and all that? And she's like, these people should be fired immediately and never come back to the industry. These are the people we advocate against every single day.
Well, any journalist, and like I've said before, a lot of these people, they come into it too, and I think they might come into it with journalistic backgrounds for like news gathering. They don't come into it from being an enthusiast press, some do, but then I think they just get kind of lazy and complacent because they realize that due to the popularity of gaming and the fact that it's only arisen, it's like people give me shit like, oh, you cover games too much, and I'm all like, fuck, dude, that's what people want to hear, and I find it interesting, so I'm going to talk about it, that's just the nature of the beast. It's $100 billion in a year industry. That's what people want to talk about.
Yep.
It's like, but they become. It's very easy to become complacent in how the how it all breaks down. Because first off, how many times can you regurgitate the same press release? Right.
Yeah,
and that's it's like I notice a thing now where it's like they release a trailer, and I know a whole bunch of gaming YouTube channels that just rip the trailer and re-upload it. Right, and that's like all they do, and I'm going like, this is okay. You're just using this to siphon off views from to go to your fans to get the AdSense revenue for this video, right? And there's a lot of that goes on, but the thing is put out there for public consumption. Therefore, it's usable in that format. But you look at like stuff with I give as much as I hate Polygon, I give them credit for at least attempting to like look at different things. I don't like the angle that they take, which is why I don't read them. But they have interesting story titles that they put out there. Yes. I just wish it was by them specifically.
Why this game is problematic in 10 reasons.
Didn't they have the whole Shadow of Mordor thing? Kissing is killing? And I was like, oh my.
I still love that one.
Whoa, wait, what did they... You kind of glitched out for a second. I didn't hear. What did you say? Okay,
so basically what the article said was, you know how they teach you how to sneak around and kill orcs? You do that as a tutorial while kissing your wives. They didn't separate those lines. Yeah, basically they said, you're basically learning how to kill.
Never mind. Never mind the fact that it's an emotional scene in the game.
Yeah, I played it. It is emotional. So
it's like that Castlevania too. IA covered it. The review on Lords of Shadow.
God.
Saying that because you essentially rape this woman and you're Dracula sucking her essence out, and you kill the man and child, mind the way, screw them, they're dead. that it's worse for her and that she's an object and that it's paramount to rape. And the whole point that the developers came out and said was, we want this for shock value because we want to introduce a Dracula that's a monster again. We feel like that's been lost throughout all this pasting of the whole vampire scene and all that, that we need to bring it back to what it essentially was a Victorian monster. And she completely just goes, oh yeah, there's that, but here's my opinion on the thing, and there's the rest of the article.
Well, I read the article too. To me, it just said rape over and over and over again. Copy paste.
Not only that, but she also tried to change around the article to make it seem like that they were admitting that they were trying to make Alucard a fucking rapist, which was a really messed up, really messed up.
Well, what was it? That game got because the first person to do a let's play of that was, I think, an Italian gamer who got it early and was posting the videos and everything. So I grabbed that scene, and I'll admit I've done it too. I uploaded it too. I'm like, here's the scene. Here's it in its entirety. Check it out. It's like all the guy does is he runs in, he snaps the dude's neck, and he drinks the blood of the chick, and then it focuses his attention on the kid. The kid screams, the camera pans out. That's that. That is it.
Context. It's fucking important.
Yes, context is very important. These people don't operate in that world, though.
No. They can't live in a world where logic and reason is
Well, look at Josh Olin. Here's the thing. Look at Josh Olin, right? From what happened with that over the summer with Evolve or Turtle Rock.
I'll have to.
Okay. Would you guys remember what happened with that at all?
I didn't
He
hear
got
about
fired.
it.
no.
He got fired.
He's
He's a community manager, right? He's got over 120,000 Twitter followers. He does community management work all the time for different games. He was working on being the community manager for Turtle Rock with Evolve. It was during the whole Donald Sterling thing, and he tweeted out that no one cared that Donald Sterling's civil rights were violated when he was illegally wiretapped in his own home. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, and because he said that, there was enough of a backlash that Turtle Rock basically just went like, all right, fuck you, you're fired.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute here. Like, hold on. There's context at play here. He's not advocating for what Donald Sterling said. He's merely pointing out that he was illegally wiretapped in his home, and that is a violation of his civil rights.
Yeah, that was one of those kind of like deals where it's just like,
now
we're associated with you. We have to get rid of you because it's political, whatever.
Yeah. I read that in a situation through, and obviously, yes, it is breaking the law. Whatever you think of Donald Sterling, what happened, I guess. There's no going back.
Yeah. That said it all over there. Oh.
I don't like what he said.
I am surprised that people didn't get as upset at the fact that he was fucking wiretapped. I mean, considering everyone is so scared of the NSA and all the shit that they're doing.
And Mundane goes full robot.
Android.
Full robot.
I love how Jonathan McIntosh just tweeted out, basically saying whoever uses the full McIntosh thing is basically using the same thing ableist insult that Tropic Thunder did.
Oh,
Oh my
really?
god.
Oh god. Yeah, that's the joke.
But wasn't he? He was also trying to repurpose that for himself, saying, "I'm completely proud of full Macintosh," like a month ago.
Yeah. And
He's just pretty much said.
They tried to flip it and do some other full, but somebody who's like on the GG side. Like they did that same thing. I can't remember who. Oh, it was Base the Mom. They tried to do that on her.
Oh my god. But basically, I've been waiting for people to jump on me this entire time since our site went pro, and thank God it's only happened once or twice, but the people who've done it are hilarious to argue with, I just gotta say. I had a wonderfully extended chat in the comment section of the Opening the Gates of Gamergate article, and it was with this person named Evie. And they basically just used the same circular logic we've heard time and time again from these people, and basically at the end of it I was saying, like, you're just using these Sega arguments, and they basically said, you're justifying a toxic ideology, and I basically put my response linked to a fart noises video.
I mean, it's the same bullshit you did a Pagan.
Shit, I saw
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
that's my main problem with all of this. We can't really have a conversation with these people about what we're concerning because they will not speak to us because we're advocating a hate group. So we're at this what's the word I'm looking for? We're just stuck in a
impasse.
point. Yeah, an impasse where we can't talk because they don't want us to be part of this group.
Is that my internet sitting up or?
No, it's something wrong.
Yeah, and that's the thing that makes me extremely upset about the whole matter is that Chu comes out and stipulates, oh, by giving a voice to a harassment group, all you're doing is perpetuating them. Well, here's the thing. I think the tried-true test of any argument is the fact that once it's brought to the table, if people join it and radically join it, and a lot of people agree with it, then that, not being the bandwagon fallacy, obviously, it must have some legitimacy, not a wholesale victory, not a wholesale this is the right way, but it must have some legitimacy to bring people that much, curiosity into it. It's the old tried-true argument.
The problem is with that, and I'm with you on that. The problem is that there's a bad taste in people to 4chaners, and the astroturfing, or that typically comes with some of that. So, a lot of people have seen random things pop up, and it's just because 4chan just told everybody to go vote this person as person of the year or whatever it is. So a lot of times people can kind of see Gamergate and be like, okay, this is just another group of people just trolling for the hell of it, and they just taking it really far.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing is now we really need to be careful of that distinction. Now, one thing I was going to tell Mundane Matt, because I do have to get ready, for tomorrow and all that, but Mundane Matt, Christina Hoff Summers, IA, Sargon of Akkad, just other people who have had their faces plastered through this, indirectly, directly, doesn't really matter, Roguestar, anyone, I really genuinely want to thank them because they have put a lot more on the line than we have. I want to remain a nobody. I really do, just because I want to just spit out my little 2 cents and just walk away from the well. Well, with them, they have to fight against massive personal attacks. Mundane Matt brought up a great point. I post something, get things on my phone, and I'm radically trying to delete them, and it's just this frantic thing. And I really feel for them on that level. But I also want to thank them because they've taken a lot of the brunt of the fight. Christina Hoff Summers has. IA did before his blow on and all that, and Oliver has taken up a large portion of the fight, and a lot of people have taken brunts. I mean, I've been attacked several times, but on Twitter, I mean, seriously, Tyler the Creator said it best, there's no such thing as cyberbullying if you just turn off your computer and walk away. But for these people, it's their professional career tied to it.
On that.
So
they can't just disconnect like that.
Exactly. Some people can't. Summers cannot just walk away.
Yeah, that's what's weird about Twitter. I feel like Twitter is just fucking weird of a social media. People are on it constantly. I honestly did not touch Twitter until freaking Gamergate, and I regret it. I regret every minute of it. I don't get how people are so connected to this in particular, especially when there's not really any room to it feels like there's no room to breathe in this social media, in this one particular.
Yeah, I will say this. Thanks to Gamergate, I finally decided to dive into social media. So I tripled my follower count, though. That's lovely, I guess.
Really?
Not to show. Yeah.
I have a follower.
Hey, I followed you. I definitely followed you.
You're the fastest growing following on YouTube or Twitter.
But yeah, honestly, I didn't know how to Twitter until Gamergate, because I was like, let me attempt at this for the 3rd time. So
how do I work this tweets?
How does one twit?
God,
I don't like your tweets, sir.
Twitting and twatic.
I have a Twitter. I signed up, and I just don't want to be here anymore. So much bullshit.
Well, if you don't want to, just use it for throwing shorts.
I'm cool with that. My problem is that people try to make these profound statements in 140 characters, and it just doesn't work that way. That's the whole problem with Macintosh. The dude thinks he's some sort of new age philosopher, and he puts out these retarded tweets, and then he wonders why he gets backlash.
Yep. And that's the funny thing. It's these people don't expect anyone to call them out on their bullshit. They make this absurd, conclusion from nothing, and then they're like, why are these people disagreeing with me? I don't understand. Don't you see the light that is social justice?
There's nothing. This is nothing like my Tumblr.
Oh, it's funny because my friend has no idea about any of this. He's dipping his toe right now into Gamergate. and he looked at me and he goes, "Are we fighting the Covenant or something? I feel like we're fighting the religious zealotry, not defending Earth."
I just have this image of Arthur Chu as like one of those grunts right now.
Yes. I need to see some art of that.
I'm sorry for saying that, but I had to say it.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, he'll write a whole blurb about it, and you'll hear back.
I don't know how I'm so racist and buzzing shit lord, right?
I don't really like making shots at people because I just prefer to be the nice guy, but I can't help but to laugh at some things.
Hey, you know, all is fair. I mean, that's the thing. If someone came out to me and was like, "God, this dude sounds like a complete douchebag," I'd be like, "Cool, I'm a douchebag to you. Whatever." You know, I've been so disenfranchised in the internet. I think that's what they can't understand. It's like, dude, it's just
thicker skin. Like, I mean, I know girls that go on 4chan and like they can put up with like any random bullshit. Like, it's just there's different cultures, and like the Twitter culture is and in the Tumblr culture is different than 4chan culture. It's straight up like people aren't gonna be ready for that shit. You take one step into 4chan from Tumblr and you will get wrecked. So
yeah, that hug box is definitely gone. We're not getting an extra hour in the ball pit, guys.
No.
God, what a disaster!
If these people can control every single industry, I swear to God, they'll advocate just wearing foam padding absolutely everywhere to protect themselves from the misogyny.
You know what? I would love for these guys to get their own industry in the gaming industry and watch them fall.
Well, that's the thing. I would love to advocate for that, to see, okay, you take your section of this and we give equal sides both funds, or, you know, how many ever versions of whatever we need to do, you know, people with different aspects and run in a different way, and then see what happens, and whichever is the best, it works. I'm pretty sure we would get the best bloggers out of that group. In social justice, we get like bloggers who blog every single day, and then they would make one game that's a solitaire clone.
Oh, yes. I'm an artist. I make games. Yes.
Or we
I
would
make
make a Mighty Number
half-ass
9
games.
clone that's even worse than Mighty Number 9 was for Mega Man fans. It's not a bad game in a vacuum. It's a bad game as a Mega Man game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think one other point I want to make. Obviously, a lot of people have noticed this too. Have anyone noticed how anti-autistic the anti-GG side is too?
Yeah, it's real ironic because I see a lot of autistic people on there. To me, it's kind of the same thing how anti-white, how racist they seem to be, regardless of the fact that most of them are white.
I think
it's called self-loathing.
Yeah, I think the best picture that has ever come out of Gamergate is the XOXO versus the FGC, the fighting game tournament, saying diversity underneath it.
Absolutely.
And these people, like Mark said perfectly, it is self-loathing on a level that is unheard of. Like, I'm supposed to be born into this world as a white male who happens to be straight and hate myself because I am said person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty familiar with this. You know, it's very typical, like white guilt, coming from San Francisco Bay Area type thinking.
Is it really as bad as they say in San Francisco? Like, is it really just
I'm from
Hipsterville?
California, and like, yeah. I'm a Southern California kind of guy, but yeah, the San Fran people are just a different group. You know, it's like you pretty much that Pacific Northwest type area. You want to stay away from. You don't want to go around there, Oregon, and yeah, just stay away from that area.
Oh, I'm in Georgia, man. It is something else.
Well, you get different type of people in Georgia.
Hey, easy. We can go on that river if you need to.
I don't want to go down that river.
It's so fun. Yeah, that's the funny thing is I'm in that like kind of rural city area, not city area, so I get a mixture of everyone. It's awesome because I've gotten different perspectives being close to Atlanta. And it's just awesome hearing like the diverse of the people who are like the working class, the people who work their entire lives, who are mechanics, and then you have people who literally all they do is blog, and that's fine. But it's just cool getting the different perspectives. And for me, I've met one person from California, and it ended up with her calling me a murderer because I liked guns.
Of course.
And I looked at her and just said, well, Ted Kennedy has killed more people than my gun ever has, so.
But what I was going on with that autistic thing was everyone remembers the Leigh Alexander article where she called where she wrote that infamous statement, "We're obtuse shit slingers." She's embarrassed of game culture and these people who don't know how to communicate. It's basically just describing autistic people in a nutshell. I'm autistic. I have Asperger's. It's
Yeah,
not
me too.
fun.
No.
It's definitely something that we see a lot of
Yeah, honestly,
anger directed towards. It's like, you're
She-
Asperger's and you're just using it as an excuse, like Arthur Chu lovingly put in a friggin' tweet.
She strikes me as
That
someone
made it
who
personal.
has a mental disability herself, though. Like, she just doesn't. She can't socialize with certain types of people. She seems to have a problem with everyone almost. And it's not. It doesn't seem natural to be that hate-filled as
with
a human.
Lay,
Yeah.
like you mean like
Alexander.
a problem with everyone? Like you mean like including like anti-GG?
Good people?
or-
No, you
Okay.
go through her old Twitter before she started deleting shit.
Oh,
She
she's
just hates
argumentative in
everyone.
general. Yeah.
Not just
Yeah.
argumentative, just hates people.
Oh, okay. Like just misanthropic in general.
She
Yeah.
really does. Like there's just a certain cutoff valve with her almost that, psychologically speaking, she sees your profile and in her mind she's building who you are, and as soon as you like equal that person she hates, nope, you're done. It is almost it's terrifying, really. I've never known anyone just to be like, oh, I hate you because you're this kind of person.
Yeah, like that's
I just saw a tweet by Brianna Woos. Someone screen capped it, and it said this guy who was responding to something that she said, and literally paraphrasing, but pretty much she said, "Oh, are you a white man?" And I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Even if she's
Well,
white
if you-
herself
if you
and was
are-
a white man.
Exactly. If she was, was a white man. That's the whole thing. If you're white, it doesn't count. White man don't count.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because obviously there are provably large amounts of minorities and females in Gamergate, and they just refuse to see that evidence, or they would just call them house niggers or whatever the term is, and it's just the most insulting possible things you could possibly say to people, and they wonder why we hate their guts now. They wonder why we want to burn it all down.
Somebody,
I remember that.
if somebody said that to me, like if somebody, I'm not even gonna repeat that phrase, but like if somebody said that, shit would just hit the fan.
Yeah. I'm sorry for saying that, but that's what they say.
No, I get it. I'm just saying like that is one of the worst things you could call a black person. So yeah, definitely. Definitely no on that. Who said that exactly? Because I didn't find that.
I think Arthur Chu said it at one point.
Arthur Chu.
No. It was someone else who said that specifically.
Okay.
Arthur Chu.
He may have retweeted
insinuated-
it then.
He
I-
insinuated that they were house slaves, the type of people that were not your shield. And it's like, how much? Just because you're not white, it doesn't mean you can't be racist. That's not.
Yeah. Well, Sui Park was getting on this case about that too. About his.
She's a racist as well, though.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. But it was honestly a little bit funny to watch them two bicker. But she was calling him out for being a racist.
Pot kettle
So-
black.
Yeah, it was.
That's like
it was
World War
serious-
One Germany looking at World War II Germany, going, "What the fuck are you doing?"
it was hilarious. So as far as I'm concerned, they both are. But like seriously though, like that I didn't hear that, but that shit would get me on fire.
Whatever faults Gamergate may have, people got to remember, we don't have the practice and scale of media access that these anti-GG people do. We're human. We learn. We make mistakes. We learn from them. We move on. They are so stuck in their ways that I honestly do not want to share an industry with these people.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who wanted to like kind of get into the game industry, it's a little bit weird now, like, trying to figure out where do I fit in there, So I don't know. It's something that I now have to like actually think about and stuff. So.
And this is coming
You
from
have
someone
to
who
be.
wanted to be a diplomat. I wanted to talk with these people. I wanted to have the table open, like someone pointed out in the last stream I had with Mark. I wanted to be diplomatic, but they have so far just escalated to such an insane degree that we've lost that table. Like, I don't think there's a way we can work with these specific people ever again.
Yeah, I've back in the beginning, King of Pole had a few streams with certain people. There was Kaz, there was some people, and most of the time it was either nothing really happened, or they were just so out of control, stuck in their ways, and insulting people, and just and just acting like they didn't even care. That like 90% of the time, when we actually talked with people, things either just got worse or nothing changed at all. So
I
it's
watched
just
so many discussions just get like just fall apart.
Yeah.
Legitimate like attempts at a discussion just fall apart. Maybe after like the second reply.
Yeah,
It's-
like
it's-
Stephen Totillo obviously had his conversation with Total Biscuit, and Stephen Totillo was an unmovable object.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's
He
the
was
stuff-
not there to have his mind changed. He was arguing in bad faith the entire time. He didn't give a shit.
And I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Salt, is that I came in thinking, oh, you know, if every one of these guys is kind of like Jim Sterling or kind of in that same ballpark, they'll listen to reason at some point. We may not change minds overnight, but over time, we'll make sure our point's clear and concise and let people choose.
I was
With
hoping
them,
for
it's
that.
yeah. With them, it's 2 words and oh, wait a minute, did I see that hashtag? Oh, you're done. You're done. Block. Report. Ban, whatever. And it's
Yeah, I've been blocked by so many of the anti-GG side. It's not even funny anymore. And
No,
I've just been asking questions.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I didn't really get the block list thing, so I didn't really know how to find out if I was blocked or not. I guess I just didn't worry about it too much. But like,
oh man, I was very proud of it. It was
yeah, I was like, let me not follow Roguestar because I'm pretty sure that'll get me fucked.
Well, here's the thing. They don't see the problem with that. Like, they don't legitimately see a problem with the blacklist. They're saying, like, oh, we're just blocking people who are harassers and stuff. Well,
No, they should block themselves. Logic dictates you block yourself.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, from a certain perspective, I mean, if you're somebody who saw Gamergate and you just generally thought like maybe the mainstream media is right because that's all I've been seeing, maybe these guys are just a bunch of like sexist dudes or whatever. I mean, I don't know if I could say I wouldn't use the block list, because I wouldn't get the perspective that they were actually advocating for something. They were trying to like change something in the industry. I can't blame them for having the perspective that like, and that's what it is that it's just like when you're calling somebody out for being a racist. Sometimes you're just looking at ignorance. You're not looking at hate, and a lot of times it's hard to see that, like I do hear a lot of times people are just like, these people are crazy, these people blah blah blah, and like sometimes I have to just remember like, yeah, sometimes like you're just dealing with ignorance.
I would blame them, to be honest.
There are
excuse.
key players. There are key players. Pretty much anybody who's part of Ghazi knows exactly what's going on. But there are other people who are just jumping on and just grabbing the block list and using it because of reasons, and they haven't really understood what those reasons are.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate something I said just a couple days ago. Basically, a lot of the arguments that the Gamer Ghazi throws out, and Gamer Ghazi, hi, you might want to quote this. Has anyone ever considered that we've seen the evidence and we just don't care? You're still misogynist shitboards? Why do you care about gaming ethics and stuff? Why do you care so much about that? All you care about is directing all this harassment at women and stuff. And stuff.
And stuff. Yeah.
Well, a
I've
lot of the
definitely
women
heard
have been
those.
more vocal, so it's kind of hard not to hear them.
Yeah.
It's what's always going on about. It's that men and women act differently, and in a lot of ways, men get different treatment than women, and women get different treatment than men. And whenever the treatment is different, that doesn't help the woman, it's always a problem. And whenever it's treatment that doesn't help a man, it's never a
Just being
problem.
baby.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. There's inequality goes both ways all the time. So, for sure. I think it's definitely like the issue is that we're trying to like, I don't know if there's really like a perfect like equality between genders because of the fact that you are just dealing with different types of people. Like,
Yeah, I would love to be in egalitarian, but I know for a fact that there will never in the history of time will never be complete equality between men and women, because there are some things that men will have and women will not have. And the only way we can change that is if we become some sort of government where we force people to do some things or act a certain way. That's the only way.
Yeah. Hopefully this doesn't escalate quite to that.
yeah.
1984.
I think a lot of times too, like I mean, and I'm not like calling anybody out or anything like that, but like when people throw out the term like egalitarian, I think as like I guess maybe like a substitute for feminism, um, saying like I'm not gonna be a feminist, but I'll be an egalitarian because those are feminist is different than egalitarian. Like I think one of the kind of ideas behind feminism is that while you could be egalitarian, I think in some cases some people feel like it's maybe a cop out to say like I believe people should be equal, so I'm not going to do anything about it, but I'm going to believe it. Whereas feminism is more based off of taking actions to actually make that happen.
Yes.
So I think I would like to just clarify that, like I feel like that's what it means more so. And while I'm an egalitarian in that case, I think that I don't condemn feminists like the
No,
the
I'm a
ideology.
feminist for God's sakes. I still
Yeah.
believe in this whole thing.
Yeah.
But
I think the idea behind using the word egalitarian is to remove any gender bias in the
Yeah,
word
to
itself.
remove the bias in there. But sometimes I see kind of people throw it out to say like okay, I've said it, so now you guys know I believe in equality, but like I don't know, like like I won't actually do anything to further that idea. I think feminism is more the idea of like actually trying to put in some action in behind that. So.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just advocating for that a little bit, like saying like,
Yeah.
hey, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
I just want to reiterate one final time for whoever's watching or whoever watches this in the future. I am still. This is what this entire thing leads up to. My line of inquiry, seeing the numbers just aren't there, and they want to enforce change that just isn't realistic. And unfortunately, it's doing a real damage to the industry from what I'm seeing. The numbers just aren't there in game design programs, people. I know there was that 50-50 split. That's probably an exceptional case from what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah,
What
well,
if
I would
people
just, I
don't
would
want to
venture.
do it?
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people don't. I would venture to say just to continue in your statistical research, make sure that you have a really, really large sample size, and
Yes.
continue in your pursuit. Now, if your numbers keep adding up like they are, continue to advocate because I think you're onto something. That if there really isn't a 50-50 split, then where do we go from there? And
Yeah.
are they reiterating very unrealistic goals for people to try to achieve that can't possibly do it? Is it a smaller version of the utopian fallacy of, oh, if we do this, we'll achieve the perfect world, comparing it to something that doesn't exist or, never will.
Yeah.
And to reiterate,
I'm going to be contacting at least 10 or 20 schools and trying to get the numbers. It's obviously going to be very hard because a lot of schools don't like giving out their admissions numbers sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
no, I completely understand. If you do want to get with me, though, I believe I have some personnel that might want to talk to you from my personal alma mater. So if you want to get that going, we can.
right.
Another thing I wanted to reiterate was I think it was either Mark or Optimistic that stated if you want to talk about the differences between men and women, which there are, you have to recognize them and move on. You can't keep driving home that we're equal in every single way because it's impossible. It's absolutely
Because we're not.
impossible.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely differences. So
Exactly. I look at my fiance and I'm like, I can't multitask. What are you talking about? Like, I'll start coding my website and a YouTube video is going on. My brain just dies inside. It's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And,
If you're going to send me that information, just DM me on Twitter.
Yeah.
And we'll have a nice time to chat. But this is definitely a line of inquiry I think people should pursue further because if we can expose at least the foundation of their kind of like whole philosophy, then we can at least have some people look at this information and judge for themselves.
yeah,
I know I'm going into this with a certain amount of bias, but at the same time, I just want to get some information out there that will be helpful to some people. This is the same thing with the game reviews article I'm going to be interested. I'm analyzing it and writing. I
Yeah.
just want to put the information out there and let people see for themselves, which is a lot of people gave me some credit at least for linking to lots and lots of sources in my opening the gates of Gamergate video. I want to make my upcoming articles as bulletproof as that.
yeah. I mean,
But it's understandably hard when you have anonymous sources, of course.
I would definitely appreciate the information because like I think that I'm going to be working on some videos, so I think that could possibly help me or help us with just some added info and background. So definitely keep working on that for sure.
what I'll do is I'll actually call up the university that I am, and I'll see if they can actually give me the numbers.
Yeah, I might be able to do that too.
Yeah, because I'm still enrolled there, so maybe they'll listen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, we're treading on some water here with anonymous sources and everything. So, if you send me the information, just let them know that this will be confidential stuff. But I will need to find some way to verify the information. So I'm just not accepting some guy who says, "Oh, this is so and so."
Yeah, which should be doing.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to the actual admin. So.
Yeah. If you talk to these people, let them know that someone is going to be calling them and verifying the information at least.
Absolutely, yeah, I'll definitely do that for you. And the one thing is, my school does not have gaming per se. It's a very traditional school, so it's got traditional arts and art forms and different mass media like that. But they're working on that, so I don't know if you could take that into.
I would say programs that involve tech and game, like anything that involves like more inside of the tech.
Yeah, I just don't want to give you I just don't want to give them a misnomer in statistics. Like, I don't want them to be like, oh, and then there's this outlier over here that did that thing.
Yeah, like for example, like my school is it's got only a handful of majors, but it's like 3D animation, like computer animation, graphic design, VFX. So like I would probably grab from maybe the computer animation and graphic design and VFX, and maybe there's an advertising thing in there, but I'd disregard that. But those three possibly could lead you into the gaming industry.
Those graphic design losers.
So. The graphic. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the graphic design group of people, but
don't want
an aspect of that.
What?
I'm a graphic designer.
Destroy
my soul.
Graphic designers are the special snowflakes of the art department.
Are they really?
They, at least in my school, they are.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, funny enough, everyone assumed graphic designers and that traditional wouldn't like work out very well. And I actually won a few awards in illustration, and then another person won a few awards in painting. And they were like, yeah, we should become majors in this, and it pissed them off. But I understand. There's a lot of designers out there that think they're something special, and all they do is guidelines and cookie cutter.
Yeah, well, I've known a few myself, so it's kind of the case. But
I'm just hating.
I'm not going to promise anything that I can't fulfill, obviously, but I'm just looking at this line of research, and once I crunch all the numbers and if something's there, I will let people know. If something isn't there, I'll still let people know. Full transparency.
Sounds great, man.
Yeah. In terms of the game reviews, if you still have more examples of old game reviews that were clearly ethically bankrupt or corrupt, still send me examples at my Twitter, at ThoughtfulSalt. I will look at most of the examples I receive. Keep in mind that with a topic like this, it may get drowned out because I've received quite a few tweets in that regard. So.
I just said, oh shit, I didn't realize I sent you a tweet that Rebecca Gunn chick sent you as well. But it's that escapist thing. I'm just reading through it now. Someone, freelance journalist Rich Stanton, was apparently doing a Q&A over Twitter about publishing and about media outlets, including CVG, PC Gamer, and Nintendo Power. Yeah, so if anyone.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm looking at. I would love old examples simply so I can compare and contrast them with newer examples, which we have lots of examples of. But yeah.
Yeah, the dude's name's. I'll put his Twitter as well. Who did the Q&A in the chat for you? Reached a follower limit.
Yeah,
Twitter has a follower limit.
I know. It's absurd.
That's ridiculous.
I'll copy his Twitter down though.
Fair enough. Here's something else I think we should talk about. Is Angry Joe got DCMA'd by Capcom?
Yeah, over the trailer. What I understand is the trailer was leaked footage.
No, there's a tweet that he's just put up saying that they gave him the permission and the assets to do so.
Huh.
They just DCMA'd him after they gave him permission to put out the video. I think it's because the video was extremely negative. Like,
Who knows? But what I will say is Joe is a very interesting figure in all of this. I think he's tried to straddle both sides a tiny bit. But the channel awesome people are just they're clearly on the other side of the fence. Like most of them, it's hilarious to watch.
he's with Polaris though, but he still has friends with Channel Awesome
Hmm.
because he's an affiliate with Polaris.
Yeah. But he used to be on Channel Awesome, obviously. But he still has video updates on there. So.
Yeah.
But who got muted? I never saw anyone. Huh. How do I unmute someone? Yeah. How do you? I think they can
You have
unmute
to left click.
themselves.
You have to left click on them and take the mute off, unless they've actually muted themselves.
Yeah. Just give it a second. But yeah.
Because Optimistic isn't muted.
Yeah. We in terms of numbers of Gamergate,
can you hear me?
it's remained steady.
Yep.
Like,
we can hear you.
Oh, there we go.
I haven't seen a major drop in Gamergate numbers since at least the mid-August. I mean mid-September. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of leveling out. We're kind of consistent, like 30,000, 40,000 tweets a day.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of those are coming from some of the same accounts, but at the same time, the awareness of the movement has spread to a lot of places because of the mainstream articles and such and all that. It's really disappointing to me. I actually saw a free newspaper in Vancouver basically just towing the same BS. It was free, too. It was they had no vested financial interest in anything. Damn it. Why is Cersei muted? I can't unmute him. I don't know why.
What I want to talk about in a personal matter is that I wanted to find some way to contribute to this. Hey, we can hear you now.
Did I get muted? Oh, wow, weird. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
I wanted to find some way to make a significant contribution to this. For the most part, I've been just tweeting away and just sending emails and whatnot. But I don't know. I just feel like. Yeah, but I just feel like I could do some really good with some sort of talents I have, like Internet Aristocrat. When he was doing his streams before he made that one that just derailed everything, he said to his audience, look, you guys are really talented. Why don't one of you do a daily update with videos, or why don't you make some Chrome extensions that could help out with the movement somehow, and things came out of that. We have the daily happenings with socks, and we have the Gamergate auto blocker and whatnot. And I just feel like there's some way that I just feel like there's something I could do, but I just don't know what.
I mean, what's something? What are your talents, man?
I'm not really sure. What I'm doing right now is that I'm waiting for them to call me, but I'm going to the Job Corps for carpentry. But other than that, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like what kind of other stuff that you might be into, but I think I mentioned earlier, just that I was working on a project with some other people from KIA, and we need people who can just help us research, and a lot of it's already information that's gathered. It's just I don't have the time to go and get all the links and all that stuff that we're putting together for a video. So.
I definitely have time. If that's one thing I can contribute, that's a hell of a lot of time I can contribute.
I mean that would be super helpful for us because we're just like Salt was saying, it's just like we're trying to make our shit bulletproof. So that would go a long ways to helping us. So I'll see if I can message you somehow. I don't know how this thing works. How do I internet?
You could send me a link on Twitter. I have the link to my profiles in the chat.
Okay, all right. I'll grab you then and send you something. Okay, yeah, I followed you. All right, I'll send you a DM and see if we can get you in helping us.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, just send me tweets on Twitter. I have reached my follower limit, but I'll try and make room for anyone who makes a request. So. Yeah. No, the people I follow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I
Alright.
can.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
a limit there? I
Yeah,
didn't.
there's a limit to the people you
Okay.
can follow.
In
Wow.
2001.
Yeah. Space Odyssey. Can I follow just one more person? I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Kyle.
Oh my god. Alright, I'll send you a DM and stuff so you can get in
Thanks.
touch.
I want to see if I'm still blocked by the Quinspiracy. Yep.
Oh, how do you tell that? It just won't let
Um,
you, oh, it just won't let you post anything.
yeah, now, due to Twitter's new policies, you can't even view their timeline anymore, so.
Oh, I'm not
Okay.
blocked.
Oh, in that case, yeah, I'm in the green there.
Just keep an eye on their things then, obviously.
Yeah.
If you don't want to get blocked, don't follow any of the 6 offending
Yeah, I forgot
Twitter.
who those 6 were. I knew
It's
Roadstar was definitely one.
Blocker, Milo, Rogue, Airport. I don't know why Airport is on there.
I didn't get that. I don't know.
And there's
people
2 others.
Airport shit.
Adam Baldwin and someone else.
Adam
You just can't. Yeah. If you
That's-
follow 2 of them, it automatically blocks you. But the thing is, it doesn't actually block you properly. Because sometimes you can actually still access people who have supposedly blocked you on Twitter. Because Randy doesn't know how to fucking code.
Yeah, apparently all you have to do is log out of Twitter.
Yeah.
So
It's
I'm
easy.
I'm just gonna see. You know what? I forgot my password, so I'm not gonna do that. Someone else do that. See if it works.
Oh, I'm not even on the block list because I came in after it. The block list has a limit of 10,000 people. Or some crap. Apparently there is a limit because when she had Christina on it before, there was 20,000 followers that got blocked instantly, and it just crashed the block bot. And
Yo,
I remember seeing all the tweets about you can get around it by doing this. How does she not know that? That's because she's bad at programming.
Yeah.
Yo,
Figured
optimistic.
it out.
Oh, yeah,
It's
what's
like-
up?
You have to follow me back in order for me to send you a message.
Okay, are you Jack Boss?
I'm Circle C7. Same as on here.
Okay.
Ugh, I'm tired now.
Yeah.
Ugh.
What time is it over there?
In Vancouver, it's 9:47 p.m.
Oh, that's not that late. It's 1:47 here p.m.
Huh. Well, you're in Australia.
Yeah.
I'm running on Eastern Standard Time, so it is 12:47 a.m.
Yep, it's 12:40. What is it? It's saying 1:47 on my iPhone, but 12 on my PC.
Yeah, it's 12.
Yeah.
Are you on the East Coast?
Yeah.
Yeah, Boston.
Yeah, we're 12 hours ahead of you.
Yeah, I should probably go to bed in that case.
I
It
come
was
from the future.
it was real nice talking to you. It's real nice talking to you, Salt.
For
I'm
sure.
looking forward to your future videos, whatever they'll be.
Yeah.
And I'll see you all later.
See you, mate.
Goodbye.
See ya. And I look forward to helping you, Circle C.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you too, bud.
1 second, I can't seem to find you. You said you followed me, right?
Yeah, I followed you.
Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum.
Just when you do follow me, just send me a DM and then I'll get back to you on it.
All right.
We've covered a lot, obviously, in this stream. We have our goals now. We know what we're supposed to do. Does anyone want to make any closing comments or shill for anything?
Real quick. So what do we have What do we have at the table now? Like, what's going on? I mean, there's a porn thing that's popping up. There's Solution 6. There's
I'll go through this just quickly. We have, what's her name? Ivy Clover is still in contact with Goldbat, who's the AAA dev that just had a meltdown. What was it, a week and a half ago?
Yeah.
Saying, from what I'm to understand, he's had a legal wrench thrown at him, and he's been told to wait until after the holiday season is finished before he's allowed to say anything.
Yeah.
She still talks to him. there's a couple of other things that are going on. Milo has said that he has something really big, but he can't talk about it just yet. But actually, unsurprising considering the last time he was going to write that article about Brianna Wu, but he did say that if he did that, he was scared that she would harm herself. So, you know, you can sort of count on him, but you just got to take that with a grain of salt. There's a few other things, not necessarily big, like Solution 6. In my personal opinion, Solution 6 is just be careful with it because you can piss a lot of people off, especially if you haven't reviewed the information yourself. As much as I like Rogue, don't take his word for everything.
Yeah,
Review
I mean,
the information.
To me, that like Solution 6 seems like a kind of a more negative take on Operation Rebuild. I mean, I think that we should definitely be contacting devs, but we should just like let this season and just like you know, Merry Christmas. Like, just leave it at that. You know.
That information is important though. What he's got, I just don't think the way that he wants us to do it is
like bombarding them.
as effective. Yeah, but I understand his intention. He's trying to protect the devs from paying $100 and then getting ripped off.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's not fair on them.
FanBridge account just to send all these people emails. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and one of them actually replied to one of the emails saying, "You're only the second email we've got that proves Gamergate isn't interested in ethics." So he's basically just declared war on the consumers as well. So another one of those, like David S. Gallant, the stupid git.
He got what he deserved. Just leave him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I gotta go. It was nice having me on there. I've put my Twitter in the chat if you guys want to follow. It's just DSIC00. But apart from that, everyone take care. And I said it before, but if you guys are getting stressed out or any shit like that, just take a break, have some play some fucking video games. I mean, I've been playing Dota 2. Just enjoy yourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Take
care, everyone.
Take care.
All right, see ya.
All right. Have a good night, guys, or a good day, or whatever it is.
Yep.
Yep, you too, bud.
To all people who are listening, don't forget to check out 2-dash.com. I'm available at Thoughtful Salt. My YouTube channel is uncut_salt. And I just uploaded an interesting conversation with Mike Oliphant of No Stag Software for the 2-dash Indie Stash cast on 2-dash.com. Go and check that out. That is all I will shill for the rest of the day. I'm going to go try and finish Lumino City because I have been stuck on a puzzle for the past week, and it's infuriating me. But there we go. Anything you want to say?
No, bud, you pretty much covered it. Just want to say thanks to all the viewers and thanks to all the questions and criticism you guys have. If you want to just send out more questions, just follow us on Twitter and we'll happily respond.
All right. Have a good day.